I'm doing great. I enjoying this sweltering heat we have here in Texas right now, and wanting to just have a good conversation. So I've been looking forward to this for a while. Yeah, yeah. No, it's all good. Yeah, go ahead. So I've been in the menswear industry since I was about 17 years old. I was actually bullied in the church uh, that I had kind of grown up in, and just heard this term "dress for success." When you look good, you feel good, and I just thought, let's just give this a shot. I mean, why not? And I realized that in menswear, there's it's a tool of communication, and you really need to be a linguist to help men understand and also encourage the importance of what menswear is. So very much looking forward to it. Yeah. So what is like I've seen some of your stuff before, and I love how countercultural you are, being more what you've talked about, vintage style, vintage value. So I'm interested to kind of hear what you uh more what you mean by that, because a lot of people say vintage style, not vintage values, and I would consider myself to be in what most people would call a traditional relationship. Man and a woman. We are at its base level, like Protestants, and we're seeking the one true God, but also doing what man and woman, like traditional gender roles. Like, she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, I want us to be one income. Like, we dress up when we go out. Like, there's this element of decorum. So I figured that's kind of what it was. But what's your perspective? Like, what made you start this whole thing? Oh yeah, I like that. It's I, I already enjoy this conversation because unfortunately it's going to make a lot of people mad, and it's never my goal to harm or offend anyone. But I mean, with any stance that you take, you're going to have a perspective that not everyone's going to agree with. So that's I actually made this post. Yeah, and I made this post last year. I don't know if you saw it, but I said, with people going more casual, the man in the suit and tie, because it's not required as it was in the past, that is now the rebel. So if you choose to express yourself in this way, welcome to the rebellion. But then I also followed it up with, if you don't hold yourself like a man, if you don't have character, if you don't have trust, if you don't have loyalty, if you don't love your significant other, your spouse, if you don't make the effort, like, there are qualities of a gentleman outside of dress. This is just the packaging. The man itself is the gift. I do believe. And I've really enjoyed coming into a what I would consider countercultural by dressing in this manner, but also encouraging men simultaneously not to wear a costume, because simply just because you put a Superman costume on doesn't mean you can leap buildings and fly and do all these things. That doesn't change anything about who you are and your capabilities. So, like, with menswear, I attempt to teach men how to express themselves properly, and to learn, why are you expressing yourself this way. I mean, one of the main examples that I use is James Dean and Fred Astaire. I'm going to ask you this question before I kind of follow along. If you consider James Dean and Fred Astaire, and you had kind of a style off, who are you considering the most stylish? Absolutely, absolutely. Well, so I use that example because it's a win-win and a lose-lose question at the same time, because it you get to hear where someone specifically is coming from, where you and I would agree that we would lean toward Fred Astaire because of our preferences, but I would say neither are more stylish, but they're both equally as stylish because they knew who they were. I mean, James Dean, Steve McQueen, and Fred Astaire all had very individual styles, but that was who they are. They weren't playing a character. I mean, Cary Grant even said he was playing a character. He wants to live that life of Cary Grant, but that wasn't necessarily who he was. So if you understand who you were, like, Fred Astaire knew how to dress down, and James Dean knew how to dress up, but they stayed true to who they were, and to express themselves properly from there. So that's the main thing that I do with everything. And when I just got home, and my fiance and I were talking about, like, what I was going to wear, so I changed a little bit. But even though this necktie specifically isn't one that I would typically go with, it's actually an old vintage chip that a friend of mine gave me. And wearing just a tight gun club check, and then white button down shirt. I wanted to be more Americana. It's like, nod to you. I figured you would appreciate that. But what's cool, if you look close, it's actually it's jock straps. So it's it's a little tongue in cheek. It's kind of funny. It's subtly novelty, because people would look at it and be like, okay, like, it's a striped tie, and I'm like, yeah, I'm literally wearing underwear on my necktie. But there's ways to express yourself, and there's ways to present yourself properly, but still, guys would look at us and go, or people would look at us and say, oh, why are you so dressed up? Well, it's not that we're dressed up, we're just dressed intentionally. And they always think, well, where are you going? Obviously you didn't come here. Like, I went to this restaurant the other day, and I was wearing my tuxedo, and my soon to be bride was wearing this beautiful evening dress. And they said, where are you going? I said, oh no, we came here. We dressed up specifically for here. Yes, we were way, by far the most dressed up, but we went out to dinner. We were having a date. There was live music playing. We had great service. And we had a good time. But we went for the respect of, hey, the cooks, they're putting in, time and effort into making these dishes. The servers are putting time and effort to make sure that we have a good experience. So people still do appreciate it, but I think they don't want to admit it because they may come across as, oh, you're trying to look high and mighty or trying to look like something else. Like seriously, if we look at the elites right now, none of them dress like we do. The majority don't. So it's not about trying to appear something that you aren't, but it's more, hey, I'm just trying to be who I am. But also clothing is a tool of communication and it needs to speak well of who you are before words even leave your mouth. So if you can use that as a tool to your benefit, why would you not utilize that? Hmm. Absolutely. Hmm. Hmm. So I'm curious. So you said, like right before this, you said so like menswear isn't your regular 9 to 5? Okay, true, absolutely. Well, I love what you're wearing today. Is this one of your pieces? Yeah, same.
Chat sent $10 TR. Can you please speak a little louder?
I like
Thanks.
that. It's a mullet back. It's no longer bias wing. It's now a mullet back. Mine was JC Penney. No, I I will say one of the coolest pieces I ever got was actually from JC Penney, like when I got my start. And I've been wanting to remake this piece for the longest time, but it was a 2 button peak lapel, had a ticket pocket straight. It was a medium brown Glen plaid flannel, and it had a uh, like a blue window pane running through it. And I bought the jacket and ended up finding the pants at a different store. And I'm going, I didn't even realize this was a part of a suit. Pretty standard shoulder, wide peak lapel. And it was, for JCPenney, it was ahead of its time, even though that's what people have been doing for a
Chat sent
while.
$10.
But
Come
I
to think of it,
always
you
loved
might
that
be
suit. And
muted.
I've thought about remaking it, basically just exactly the
Great
same. And I'm
Sex
going,
sent
I
$5.
kind of
You're
want to
muted
copy
on
the
Stream
exact same
King.
thing, but I also want to throw a double breasted shawl lapel waistcoat on it and then do a gauntlet cuff and then, all this other stuff. But there were some pieces that I found that were really cool. Oh my gosh. Yep. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Love it. Hmm.
Chet sent $10 AU. You be all mooted and sheet.
Yeah. So I actually went this last January. It January is definitely the better show. I want to go in the summer just to experience it, but I mean, it was great. And even oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, I had when I had first walked up, I remember seeing a gentleman, definitely streetwear inspired, but he had this. It was it looked almost exactly like your suit, like the cloth. And it was just a notch lapel and flat pockets, but it was slightly oversized. And he was wearing like this pink kind of like fuzzy sweater with a matching shoes and a matching like beanie. But it was based in like classical tailoring. So even though it wasn't something that I like could connect with and it didn't really speak with me, I saw what he was doing because it had like a base in classic menswear and he made it streetwear, which I could appreciate because I mean, as you know, you can see a yeah, I mean, you can see a Van Gogh and then you can see God, who was the guy who cut his ear off and saw weird things. Oh yeah, Van Gogh, and I was just trying to think of another painter, but just like weird. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, oh yeah, Picasso. That was the one I was thinking of. And so you can see these different people, and they all have different perspectives. And just because the art doesn't speak to you doesn't mean that it's bad. I mean, even taking that to the extreme of, you look at modern art and you see just a white blank canvas with a, black stripe running through it. That doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. To the artist, that meant something. Now, I would, un, I, yeah, oh yeah, but I mean, see, like I can understand that, but still, maybe there's beauty and simplicity. So I mean, if you can define it, you could essentially almost like call it art. But going to pity, like you saw classic menswear guys, you saw fashion guys, you saw the trendy pity peacocks, which was to me amazing. I'm going, how do you wear all the colors and the bracelets and every accessory that you can and still think that that's relevant? But if that's truly who they are, like, okay, my respect is to you because if you're staying true to yourself, go for it. But there's something about this classic menswear Americana, but also the Italians were doing a lot of Texas Western wear, which was really interesting to see. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And people still appreciate it. I mean, there was a reason that it was called the golden age in the 30s, kind of into 20s, 30s, and 40s. I think that there's something to it. Honestly, the last couple of years, I've really been inspired by the 30s, not the 70s, because a lot of people think about, oh, the psychedelic polyester flare and everything like that. But even on the classical scale, there was still this like broadening. I mean, I instantly think of Edward Sexton and Tommy Nutter. I mean, I love the rock and roll aspect, that vibe to it, but it's taking the suit, because what they did is like they opened up, a rock and roll tailor house on Savile Row, and they wanted to mix it up a little bit, but it was still based in the classic menswear. And, that's the foundation that a lot of menswear is based on, is that. And people, still think it's fuddy duddy, but it's really not. I mean, it's foundational. And then people kind of get a little bit crazy. But I mean, honestly, you can't ever go wrong with the classics. And in my opinion, it's never boring. It's always beautiful.
Great Sex sent $5. Your mic
Hmm.
is still muted on stream.
What part of Western Pennsylvania are you at? Oh, okay. Okay. Because I've got a buddy, a really dear friend of mine, Louis Jeremita. We have our podcast, and he's up in Erie. So if you're ever around the area, you guys need to connect. I think y'all would enjoy the sit down. Yeah. He's got a great shop. I think you'd really appreciate.
I've been working on a couple suits for. Okay, now we. Okay, the mic is. Okay, okay, chatters. Thank you for the super chats. My mic is live. I'll read them at the end of this. But yeah, if you have any questions you'd like me to ask Austin here, send them to super chats, powerchat.live/tr starter, and I'll read them off at the end. But um, but no, I'm working on a couple suits for Roger Stone right now, and he has impeccable taste. He has a lot of
Mhm.
it's very classic 30s style, very English inspired, and I think that's the that has to be the new trend and direction, because I think trying to keep up with like the modern, these like Balenciaga styles, because you started to see more tailoring that goes in that very experimental new school LA kind of direction, and I don't like the androgynousness of it. I don't like androgynous style, and I really don't. I have one of my one of my hotter takes in the menswear world is I'm not a big fan of the growing androgyny in classic tailoring. I think the masculine form is so distinctive, especially when it has a good
Mhm.
contrast with it, with the female form. That I think this more androgynous menswear of the suit is for everybody. I think it seems exciting to a lot of people who consider themselves very culturally neutral, but I don't think
Yeah.
it's going to age well. I really don't.
Yeah, I saw your post about some of the women at Pity, wearing suits.
Yeah,
And you know I
yeah.
I and I want to say this, obviously, respectfully, where I'm not saying I'm fully against that, but I'm also not fully for, like, if you're wearing suit tie and you're basically wearing everything a man would wear, that's where it's like, okay, it's just like, you're, as a woman, like, you're so beautiful, like wearing a dress, wearing a hat, wearing like whatever that may be, you look exquisite. So like, do that, because we love looking at that in a respectful way. But I've seen some women wear tailored pieces, but it's cut in a feminine way where it's distinctive from menswear, but it's had this inspiration from menswear, but it's not them trying to dress like a man. And I've definitely appreciated that. But yeah, I'll be seeing a woman fully suited and booted, still
Well, and
beautiful,
you
but
and you know
I
exactly
still
what I'm
think there's
talking
something.
about. You see a lot of it,
Yeah, yeah,
especially
yeah,
especially in the wedding
absolutely.
industry now. In the wedding industry, you see this a lot, and they usually have like the pompadour, and it's like I want the biggest shoulders I can possibly get, and it's like this is not a Halloween store. Like, if you want to
Yeah.
get a costume, just wait till October. And I will say I don't totally disagree with you in the sense that I think Sonia Glynn's the one exception that I'll name as far as she does wear, more menswear, clearly things in a menswear style, but they are tailored pretty well. And also,
Yes.
I appreciate a lot of what Sonia has to say in the menswear world. Her and Hugo are great people.
Mhm.
But
Salt of the earth. I met them at Pity, and they're
oh
great,
yeah,
great people.
very very kind. They've always been very generous to me. I've spoken to them a couple times. They've always been very very generous. But the thing about it for me is, and maybe this just comes from when I was younger in video games and I played airsoft and all this other stuff. The like these were historically men's spaces for the most part. Majority wise are men's spaces, and the men's spaces have kind of evaporated bit by bit, and they've changed into everybody's spaces. And like I said, there's a little more controversial take, but I think men need their spaces, and I think the Savile Row Lounge, the going to the tailor shop, your relationship with your tailor. I think that's it's like a barber, and the relationship between a man and his barber is an inherently masculine relationship, and I think men need those relationships. And the more the less visual representation, the less cultural normality you have of these important male relationships, the harder it is to maintain those traditions. Because if people see it as some kind of foreign thing, that this is a men's space, then that'll die out. And I think a lot of people hear that.
Yeah.
A lot of people hear that, and they think that a woman's going to come into a tailor shop and be like, "No, get out!" and they're going to hiss at her. No, but it's understood that this is a men's space, and if you are a woman going into it, it is going to be the exception. It's not going to be the rule.
Yeah, and you brought up a great point where men have a guy. If hey, my car's broken down. Oh, I got a guy. Call Jimmy. He's on the corner of yada yada yada. And when I was getting into menswear and I knew that I wanted a brand, that's why I called it Gentleman's Avenue, because it sounds generic and specific at the same time, because it's not necessarily just a men's store. It's not just a tailor shop. It's this idea that you kind of fall into this. I basically just had this view of the street, and I can see it right now, where you're walking down and there's other men dressed very well, but it's there's a butcher, and then there's a leather worker, and then there's a tailor, and then there's a cobbler, and then all these different things that men want to do, and they're craftsmen. They work with their hands, but it's where a man can truly be a man and appreciate things.
And it's a male to male.
The only difference, yes, and there's the difference between men and boys, the size of their toys. Because when we were younger, we played with Tonka trucks, we played with Hot Wheels, and then when we get older, they've got these Ferraris and Maseratis, and for the longest time, my favorite car was a 1957 Chevy Bel Air. I mean, just the wings, the style, I just found it to be a beautiful car. And guys just like really good things, and just having a place where you can go to talk, even if it's not the exact same thing. I mean, you can go and talk to your mechanic who may not even own a suit, but you can talk about clothing. You can talk about the engineering behind a motor to make, like an F1 car. I mean, just, you have to be so precise. And those men who work in the pit crew can tear the car apart and put it back together in 5 minutes. I mean, just you can appreciate the craft. You can appreciate, like a watchmaker. It's complication for complication's sake. It tells time. It tells time on our phone. We've got clocks everywhere, but guys wear a specific watch because it says something about who they are. They appreciate the movement. They appreciate that it's taken 3 years to make one watch. Why would you do that? Because it's beautiful, and because I can, and because I can afford it. There's the appreciation of the craft, whatever that may be.
No, absolutely. And like I said, that real respect for craftsmanship is really an exclusively masculine thing. And obviously we're speaking in generalities here, but even if you look at, female fashion versus male fashion changes very, very little for the most part, as far as mainstream fashion goes.
Absolutely.
But female fashion changes. I mean, if you can look historically, it changes radically within, a few years. And I'm not saying that women can't appreciate craftsmanship, because like I said, we have a few rare examples in the menswear world. But I think for the most part, the appreciation of finery and craftsmanship is a exclusively male thing, because as having a history of being craftsmen, of being the makers of these kind of things, we have almost an instinctual understanding of where it all comes from, and that this doesn't just exist, and it's
Yeah,
pretty for a reason. And when something new is made, we have to assess if it looks good or not.
absolutely. My father didn't really understand why I was doing what I was doing in regards to menswear because he heard I was getting into men's fashion and men's style and things like that, and he a lot of times he would say like, well, like, I mean, guys who are really into clothing are gay, so often are you gay? And as the one man that you want to look up to and earn his respect, hearing that could be detrimental. And for me personally, that was something that I wanted him to understand. It's not about looking good for attention's sake. It's looking good because I want to feel good, because I didn't feel that way for such a long time, and I wanted to feel comfortable and confident. And the clothing just pulled the confidence out in me that was already there. It just needed to be awakened. And I made his first custom suit ever. I mean, he had this black pinstripe suit he had had forever. Anytime we went to any event, it was always his black pinstripe suit, and he had these black wingtips. Blue shirt, white shirt, simple tie. I mean, it was pretty simple and easy, but it was never exciting. And then the first time I got to make his custom suit, he goes, "Ooh, I like that." And then I do these poses on on my Facebook or on my Instagram, and part of it is for the editorial aspect of it, where you can see everything head to toe. But he was making fun of me, but it was his way of showing respect. He's like, "Oh, look, I'm doing your pose." Doing this whole thing that, the hashtag menswear bros would do. But he goes, "Austin, I get it. I understand it. Getting a well tailored garment to me that's made well into my specifications." I mean, on the inside, we put a label that said custom made for Papa Bear. Like, I call him Papa Bear. And he goes, "That's super cool." For him, it meant something specific. Like, the whole suit was cool, but the fact that he got something made for his name, that he loves being called Papa. My beautiful fiance calls him Papa. Like, he considers her a daughter. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I love you." And whenever she calls him Papa, that means a lot. So being able to make something for him that has his name attached to it, it took it to a different level. It wasn't about the exterior, it was about the quality. And this is just an expression. It's a pouring out of it.
Oh, absolutely. We are I may have to cut this short. It's given us a 3-minute time limit here on the meeting. So unless you'd like to go extra hours and keep it go live on Instagram, we can.
Let's keep it going.
Let's keep it going. All right.
Yeah,
So
let's keep it going.
So in about 3 minutes, we're going to switch over live to Instagram. I'll drop a link in chat for Austin's here, and then obviously if you're following here, you probably follow mine, and the link is down below the stream. So we'll switch over there in just a few minutes here, which I'm going to give you the secret. I talked about this in the ad. I'm going to give the secret to how how the menswear community can better save the suit. But yeah, no, the young men, like you said, I don't think there's anything new to say at this point, that young men's confidence is at an all-time low, and it's there's a lot of different ways that a lot of people have tried to do that, and unfortunately a lot of it's been very grifty. But I do think improving style is one of these things that people can say it's overdone or played out, but it's true. There's a reason everyone says it, and that's just because it's true. Get closer to God, and in that everything else will line itself out, and improving style is one of those things that'll kind of line itself out. And everyone's style identity is going to be a little bit different, but the beauty of classic menswear is it all kind of ties men back to this one general school of thought, and then the branching out from that has led to some of the best creativity that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, we'll get into this a little bit more. I know we have to kind of like wrap this up. So what I can do is I'll just go live and wait for you to jump on, and I'll just
perfect.
Like hit the request I'll add on there. But if you guys are watching, go there, and this is where the conversation gets real.
All right, let's go. It's gonna get hot. The takes are gonna get hot. It's gonna be good.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. You go live. I'll pop right in.
Okay. I'll see you there.
See you, buddy. All right. So we're gonna go live on Instagram. I'm gonna keep it going on here. I'm trying to figure out how to keep it. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna set up my my phone here. I have to grab a charger before I do. My phone's about to die. One moment here. That's right, it's outside. this going here. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna get into some. I think we can red pill them, guys. I really do. I think we can. I think we can. I think we can get them. All right, so we'll set this up. Trying to find a way to mount. I think that'll work right there. All right. All right, there we go. All right.
There he is.
There we are. Excellent.
Okay, good. I don't think there's going to be a delay or a lag on this one, so.
Perfect. All right, excellent. Yeah, we're back.
Yeah, we're back. So, pick us up where we left off. So, what were some of the things that we were? God, we were talking about a lot. We didn't really
Yeah. That's what that's what happens when the scotch comes out, man. You start talking. But
oh, you're drinking scotch?
Yeah, we're drinking a little Dalmore 12 year with the sherry cask.
Very nice. This is a whiskey a buddy of mine gave me. It's a Kentucky straight bourbon, bottled and bond 100 proof, but it's early times.
Oh,
so,
very aesthetic.
I don't know if you're a whiskey guy or not, but it's very nice, and it's only like $20-$30 a bottle. Very smooth drink, really, really good.
Okay, nice. Yeah, no, I've gotten more into bourbons. I like drinking bourbons by themselves. I like to use rye for mixing, and scotches, are kind of a little fun treat for special occasions. But no, I've gotten really. There's this one brand around. I don't know if it's a wider brand, but locally, it's named after George Remus. But it's one of those. It's like $20-$30, but it's very, very smooth, very good stuff. But
it's very similar to cigars, like. An $8 cigar could go toe-to-toe with a, $100 cigar. And I've smoked $100 cigars before, and I've smoked $5 cigars. And there's so much development. There's so much, value can be, whatever you put on it. And, I like knowing that, some stuff is expensive and some stuff is special, but it can still be just the fact that it's boutique, that it's made, that it's made a little bit more special, or, it's a small place, like whatever that is. And I love that about, like we talked about menswear, but the cigar community. Like, there's so much when it comes to, intrinsically masculine hobbies, when it comes to talking about, these different things that we were talking about in the live. But there's just he'll be hopping on here in a second. So we are continuing the conversation. So it's hobbies when it comes to talking about, these different things that we were talking about in the live. But
what in the come on, damn it. I fucking hate Instagram.
Live, but there's just
there we go. Okay, we're good now. It was like I was trying to clear something off the screen. I think I dipped out.
It's all good. Well, you're back. That's all that matters. Yep. So before we go in, I meant to ask you this earlier. So you're wearing a Winchester two-piece suit and then a knitted tie. I love the whole look. It looks great.
Yeah, I want to do something kind of eccentric. I love the this was actually, oddly enough, because I did a lot of stuff in DC for a couple of years before I moved out here, and there was forget the name. There's only one other shop, and it's in London, and I applied to work there when I first moved to the city, and they ended up not needing me just because business was slow. It was the end of the pandemic, and DC was just absolutely insane about the pandemic, so there just wasn't a lot of call. But this is a Bud shirt, and because they were licensed for Bud shirt makers, this was a sample. They have the samples lined up for their made to measure line, and this was one of the samples. It just happens they made the samples all in 1635. So when unfortunately that store did end up closing, just because I guess they couldn't bring a lot of business in, and it was cheaper for them to sell everything at 90% off than to ship anything back to London. So I ended up grabbing like a bunch of bespoke design. They fit me well enough. Bud shirts, a new wallet, jewelry, just everything but the floorboards. It was, it's one of those very rare times. I got a bunch of Thurston braces, and now I can't wear any other braces. They're too good.
Oh yeah. So I recently picked up French cuff club collar, and it's like not really French blue, but just kind of like a medium blue and stripe. It's kind of a multi-stripe, but it's an Oxford cloth, and it looks very like straight from the 30s. And I'm so excited. That should be in any day now. So I'm I'm loving the club collar. I mean, today was like I was actually wearing just the button-down open collar, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna put on this coat, put on the striped tie.
It's very preppy. It's a very preppy look. I like it.
Yeah, and it's not something I typically do all the time. And I thought, you know what? Like this works. Why not?
Yeah, it's colorful. I got a lot of patterns going on there. I love I love button down collars. I like to wear them open with an ascot. That's one of my favorite like go to summer bases, like khakis, and then sometimes it'll just be that. But I'm working on it. I found this vintage blazer from Ralph Lauren, double breasted, wide peaks, and I'm adding ivory piping to the edge, but it's double breasted, so you have like this like line of piping going like asymmetrically off to the side and around the bottom. It's gonna be really cool when it's done. It might be a little late for the summer, but it's gonna be cool for next summer.
I found, and I just posted it on my Facebook or on my Instagram today, and it was this I think either all silk or it was like predominantly a silk and linen or something, but it had a pleated back. It was a belt with a single bend, but it just had like the pleating, like the shirring in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And they were selling it for $24, and that day was half off, so I got it for $12. All I had to do was drop the sleeves, lower bellowed patch. I mean, it was great. And I'm so sad most makers don't do things like that.
Yeah, well, that's
like the mullet packs we were talking about.
Yeah, well, that's what the philosophy around my ready to wear line is that. You're not going to you don't mainstream the suit by being plain. You do it by being very dramatic and bold. If someone needs, because a lot of young guys, this is what I wanted. I wanted it to be like the greatest first suit you've ever had, because it is multifunctional. It's got the casual side with the, with the bi-swing back, but it's got this like business, like ultra business power suit, wide peaks with the gauntlet cuffs, which like, I think I've seen one other brand in the last year do gauntlet cuffs. Everyone knows about them, but like, it's one of these very exclusive things that unfortunately a lot of manufacturers don't do because it would cost them a slight bit more to do so. But it's a great look. I'm a huge fan of it, especially you do one less sleeve button, kind of balances it out every time.
Yeah. See, and honestly for me, like I only do when I get my coats made on a sport coat, I do 3 sleeve. I've started doing 3 sleeve buttons, but on a suit I always do 4. That's always made sense to me. I don't know why, but that always just visually makes sense to me, gauntlet cuff or not.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I probably couldn't see myself doing a gauntlet cuff on a sport coat. Yeah. But on suits, I like to do 3. I just like the atypical, just the Simon James Cathcart. They do a lot of 3-button sleeves, and they got me into it when they're one of the few off the rack brands I still buy. But I like the 3-button sleeve a lot.
So here's a question: are you a fan of the 3-button or not? Not the 3-2 roll, the true 3-button.
True 3-button, I love it. I think it's a very authoritative look, and I do recommend it for guys who are middle of shorter height, as it's a very vertical look, especially with peaks, because you can get kind of that Touts lapel like straight across with the peak. With that, it's some people might think it looks a little stiff or stodgy, but I think that requires just having an energetic personality to balance that out. Because it is a very like stern kind of look. It's a very dramatic look, and I'm down for it. Like I said, I like boldness. I've seen when you're in menswear, you kind of see you've seen enough solid color 2-button notch suits with flat front pants for your life. After the first year, that's all you'll see, and you've seen enough for the rest of your life. There's so many ways to just I've gotten a lot of young guys to try double pleats. Just try double pleats, and none of them have regretted it. No one's come back to me after having room to actually walk and sit down in and been like, no, you made my pants too functional now. Now
you made my pants too comfortable.
Yeah, no, I can wear these all day without feeling like I'm tearing them apart. Oh no.
Are you a double forward facing pleat fan, or are you double reverse?
I love double forward when I can get it. Unfortunately, when you're vintage shopping and thrift shopping, it's all going to be pretty much Italian style backward facing pleats. But with all the custom stuff I do double forward. Although I've seen some pleat designs that the factory can do now that are almost like curtains. Like there's like a central like pleat, and it kind of pleats off to the side in like a V. You know what I'm talking about? Or like
a kiss pleat?
Yeah, like a kissing pleat. That's probably the term. Yeah, I've seen those. I'm like, I kind of want to give that a try, or maybe do like a really like just 70s style suit. Do a triple pleat pair of pants. A friend of mine, Daniel the Sartorialist, he did a disco suit a while back, and I can't get into the bell bottoms, but I love the disco suit thing because it's one of the reasons I'm a big fan of the 70s. is it was just such a bold, dramatic time. Everything got wider. It was, you know, it's fun. It's colorful. Part of that was due to the invention of polyester, you know, being able to just dye plastic whatever color you want it. But the boldness, I think, is a good lesson from the 70s to learn. And I think, like I said, you know, when it comes back, to it, it's kind of like, you know, winning back the culture. Boldness is going to be key. I think being very sensible and plain, especially coming from DC like I have. You know, when you're me in DC and you're coming in with the gauntlet cuffs and the double-breasted shawl waistcoats, and you know, I worked in this one shop, William Fox, one of the oldest menswear shops still in DC. Very, very cool place. And this guy, he used to work there with me. He was very old, you know, retired government worker in DC. Thought he knew everything because he had to wear a suit most of his life. And I got this brown 3-button peak lapel pinstripe with matching peak lapels on a single-breasted waistcoat, very like 1930s, you know, summer business suit kind of thing. And I wore it with a boater one day, purple white collar shirt, olive green with a purple striped tie. I felt like a king. I felt like you know, it was a very, very fun day to be me. And he laughed at me, like, he's like, you get laughed out of any office here like that. It's like, well, I don't like DC offices. You know, I'm here to have fun. I'm here to, you know, stand out. I was in DC to pick fights, not physical, but, you know, metaphoric, you know, rhetorical. We're not, we disavow fashion-based fighting. But, you know, that's, you know, and it was fun to upset these kind of people, though, who only see a suit as, you know, this uniform. You know, because unfortunately there's kind of two camps with the suit right now, and this isn't anything new to you, but there's those what we call MMBs, or married and buried, you know, where it's this thing you just have to suffer through a couple times a year, and at the very end of your life, which why would you want to get buried in something that you feel like you're suffering through? And then there's the, you know, the uniform types, which are really mostly just in DC and in the banking world now. Even the banking world's gone obscenely casual for certain cultural reasons, and you hate to see it. And it really made being a sartorial enthusiast in DC very difficult, because you wanted to try to get people to try interesting, colorful new things and bold things, and try to, you know, just try to be interesting a little bit.
Yeah.
And these are,
yeah,
and, it's.
I've loved, so with long hair, I don't really wear hats a lot because I feel like I look like some indie artist from down in Austin, Texas, and that's not the look I'm going for. So if I ever went back to short hair, I would start, you know, wearing hats more and stuff like that. And there's just something about a hat, like, I don't know if you saw any of the posts that I had from like Pity Womo, but I had it was a vintage I think it was from 68 or 69, but it was a True Beaver hat, and it was a Stetson Open Road.
Oh, I think I saw this clip passing around. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really, really liked it, and you know, with the long hair, like, it looked really good. But I made a mistake because it was a gray woolen silk Donegal 3-piece suit, and I wore it with some boots because I wanted to add, like, it was kind of like a
very rugged kind of look.
Silky, yeah, type of thing. And then I did a white shirt with a black tie and a white pocket square. And I looked back at the picture and I went, I just look like Doug Dimmadome. I mean, it was not the look I was going for. But some people were like, this guy's going for like a 1970s oil magnate type of look. And I'm going, I don't hate that. I mean, you know, it kind of gave this like authoritarian kind of look, which, you know, I like. But, you know, really nice. And, you know, that's something that I loved and always respected. And, you know, I've actually been looking for a brown pinstripe that it was like chalk stripe-esque, but, you know, here in Texas, we only have like basically 3 weeks of winter, and then it goes back to just like an early summer. And we've got this one, it's a Gladson cloth. It's kind of like a charcoal-y type of brown, but it's got this nice pinstripe to it. And I went, man, as soon as you said like a summer business wear, I went, man, I guess I feel like I have to get that for, you know, for next summer. But, you know, there's just something about, I love brown suits, brown trousers, brown sport coats. Just brown is such a cool look, because even if you're the most conservative, wearing black, gray, navy, and sometimes a lighter gray, adding a brown suit, sport coat, or whatever just looks exquisite. Just looks fantastic.
Well, it does, and this is something I talk about a lot when I give you know, advice on my show, is because there are a few advantages to being a dapper guy in the modern age, and that is that the standards of formality, the old codes that we kind of understand, just you know when you get into the history of it and all that, those have died out, and that is unfortunate. But there has been the advantage in that you can get away with a lot more interesting suit choices and colors and styles that are still just generally lumped into what's considered formal now, because anything with a lapel is just considered formal now. So, you may not have be able to wear like an olive green business suit to the office, a few decades ago, but now you totally can. And it allows you to actually be more fun and more creative. You can do brown, a brown pinstripe is like a three-piece brown pinstripe is a very formal business suit. Now, you're still going to be out-dressing just about everybody there, and you can be more creative than you might have had to have been, or you might have been able to, just a few years ago, or just a few decades ago. And there's a certain bit of, a certain bit of joy to be taken in that. Even, I think a lot of people lament that people don't dress up anymore, and there is a bit of that, but I think it's just an opportunity to do something new. It's an opportunity to start a new style, and that's one of the things I talk about a lot on my show is I don't want to rebuild, I don't want to like return to the past, because time travel is not a real thing. Time travel will never be a real thing. This whole idea of like we're going to recreate the past. And this is kind of goes back to the vintage values thing, because it does sound like I want to recreate the past, but it's just a very good brand. And also me and Danny Wellington have beef, so naturally I'm going to I'm gonna yin that yang. But I don't want to. I don't think you can time travel. I think you can build a new future using the past and using elements from it to make something new. That's what I do with my designs. I take like you said, very some Victorian elements, some 1910s elements, some 1930s, 1940s, even some more modern elements, and kind of pick them out and aesthetically create something new. And from that, you have something completely unique and new that can reach a new generation. And this is one of the things I think the menswear community makes a mistake of is, a lot of the menswear community, everyone kind of knows who they are. Everyone kind of, appreciates everyone's different style. Everyone kind of knows each other. And, the Sartorial Club, I think, is one of these things I'm kind of critical of in this way. And it's just these kind of people. And I get it. It's a friend group kind of thing. It's like bringing a group chat together and, for, yearly getting together with the homies who all kind of get it. And you don't have to explain yourself to, it's a night where you don't have to explain yourself, which is, which being in the political world, it's very nice to have those nights once or twice a year. But a big thing is, I think the menswear community, especially the popular YouTubing menswear community content creators, I think they're very isolated in that they do reach broad audience, they do have large views, but they don't seem interested in changing the culture at all. They seem very interested in educating people, which I think that education stuff is very important. Like I said, I think Early Gentleman's Gazette is a bounty of information. I think Sartorial Talks is a bounty of information. But once you learn the factual stuff, what do you do with that information besides dress yourself better? Do you use this to create a new image? Do you use this to help shape the culture and save this thing? Because you're not going to be able to talk to a mentally healthy person and say the suit is a totally mainstream garment. That just wouldn't be a realistic, that just wouldn't be a realistic statement. But you got to ask yourself, if you really love this thing, how do you make the thing you love and the thing you share with the world a mainstream real thing? And how do you reach as many people as possible with that? And how do you make that the trend? And I think you have to do that by reaching out to more people. And like I said, the informational stuff is great, but to get to the informational stuff, you have to be already curious about it, which means you already want to be into this. And I think menswear deserves to be so much more than a hobby. And unfortunately, as someone who kind of deals with people, majority people, and I don't say this is unfortunate, I'm not trying to rag on my more political audience, who I do have the honor of educating. They don't know about Kirby Allison. They don't know about, with the exception of one or two, they don't know about Kirby Allison or Hugo or Gentleman's Gazette. They might have seen one video when they were getting ready for prom and how to tie their bow tie.
Yeah.
And I think if the menswear community wants to be a serious cultural contributor, which I think they do, I think at the end of the day, if they had the opportunity to and they had the know-how, I think they would. And maybe they wouldn't be quite as political and controversial as I am, but I think they would strategize more and curate content more towards changing the culture in general. And I think with that, they'd have to start taking sides on certain social issues and stuff like that, which I would love to see more of. As one, it makes the menswear community interesting. Not saying the drama is the best thing in the world, but having hot takes is exciting, it's interesting, it draws people in. And you can use that to help educate people, and you can use it to create more of a cultural normality around, more classic style. It makes it interesting, it makes it colorful beyond people who are already interested in it.
Well, Mark Twain even said, naked people have very little influence on society, and even most people would see you and I are walking down the street, and they would go, they would want to stop and talk to us, or it's, hey, that's a cool suit, or whatever that is. It elicits a response, and a good response, because I've had people, I remember walking across the street, and someone goes, hey, man, you look really great. What's the occasion? And I go, what's today? Thursday? It's Thursday. That's the occasion. The occasion is that I woke up and I'm breathing. The occasion is that I can express myself, and the world is beautiful. I mean, I had one of my dear friends once say on a podcast I was actually at called the Defiant Dad podcast, and he said, C.S. Lewis makes me. He said it reminds me that I live in a magical world, that water falls from the sky and food grows from the ground. When it takes you back to that time of, we really live in a beautiful world, so why would you not wake up every single day so grateful for the world that you live in? So, for you and I, people may think, oh, we're trying to live in the past. Like, no, like, what did you say? I'm not trying to recreate the past. I'm trying to create a better future.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the motto of the Order of Social Antiquity, the Vintage Style, Vintage Values movement. Is it's not returning to the past; it's building our future with our past.
Exactly. I once talked to a friend of mine, and we were talking about, our futures and the women that, we had kind of not aligned ourselves with, but like the women that we were with. And, he goes, what, her and I don't want children because we don't want to bring more children into this like crazy fallen world. And I go, I can understand why you would say that, but why would you not raise the change that you want to see? Why would you not build the change that you want to see? Why would you not raise the new generation? Because when you're talking to a 6-year-old kid, like my fiance has a lot of younger siblings, and I try to encourage them, and her oldest brother, like I think he's about 9 years old right now, he started to experiment with with his hair. So he's doing like more kind of like spiked hair up in the front, but he's caring about his appearance. And anytime I see him, I'm like, man, your hair looks cool. You're trying.
You got to encourage that. You got to give that some positive reinforcement.
Because that's going to encourage him to to dress like a man. And there was one time he was like putting lotion on his arms or something like that, because he was like, his skin was kind of dry, and someone had said like, oh, that's kind of like girly, like no one does that. Like, okay, do you polish your leather shoes? Do you take care of those things? Yeah. So if you take good care of your shoes, why would you not take good care of your skin? Because it's still a leather. Why would you not take care of that? So it's taking care of the things that that you have. And the biggest thing that you take care of, your biggest investment, is yourself. So why would you not take that time to invest in yourself, to make yourself look better, to make yourself feel better, just like emotionally, but also like physically, just taking care of yourself. And I understand that most people aren't going to dress like you or I, and as much as I would want that, if I'm selling something to a guy, I think most guys, short, fat, tall, like whatever that may be, if you are dressing yourself in a tailored way, you're going to look fantastic. But if that's not a part of your everyday life, like if you're a mechanic, you don't need to, change your car's oil in a beautiful suit like you're wearing today. So that doesn't add value to you.
Oh no, I do. I actually did just change my oil in this outfit. I'm very, very good at what I do.
Well, I admire that. Like, props to you, my good friend. You could have just lied to me. I would have believed it, But there is that aspect of like caring for yourself, and even the most blue collar guy, put him in a well fit suit, and there's something, because the suit I don't think is ever going to go away. I think it's just going to kind of ebb and flow based off the time, because now, even though that's not what you should wear to work, if you're casual at home, if you're casual at church, if you're casual at work, when you go out for dinner, why would you not dress up? Because now it's more of a special occasion.
Yeah,
you're not essentially forced to.
But now the real question is, how do we make it more than a special occasion garment? And like I said, there's two, because we both have been in menswear retail. There's three main excuses that guys, because especially if you're dressed well and you're working with a guy who's getting a suit or something like that, they'll say one of three things. They'll say, I wish I dressed up more, or I wish I looked like you, but I don't think that's for me. Well, that's just all in your head. That's a psyop. You can break that conditioning really easily. Just put on a jacket that fits, and your mind will be changed forever. I can't afford it. That's really the only ironclad one, and that can be fixed with shops like mine that focus on restoring secondhand and really treating secondhand with some care and making the secondhand kind of customer
Yeah.
feel like a bespoke customer. There's that, and then you know the oh that's I can only do it for certain events, and it's kind of the whole I don't think I could. It kind of goes to the I don't think I could pull it off thing, or that's not the style for me. And it's like, well, there's infinite styles,
Yeah.
It's
Well, I absolutely understand that. And like, there are plenty of guys who come in and they're thinking like, oh, I just want to spend a couple $100 on a suit. Like, okay, we've probably got some makers who could do something like that, but at that point, you're essentially getting a plastic glued suit. You're not going to get your money's worth. You're not going to get your value out of it. Even if you only wear it once or twice a year, that thing's still going to, fall apart in a few years, at best. So, when I'm encouraging guys, to dress well, like go to a local thrift store, go to a Goodwill or something, get something that makes you feel strong, makes you feel confident, and just take it to a tailor. Spend, on a coat, between 50 to $100 on the tailoring, and get one of your dad's old garments. Fits in the shoulders. You can fit almost anything else beyond that, and that's what I encourage guys to do. I mean, we take outside alterations. I've got one guy, he's a dear friend of mine, never bought a piece from me, but he brings his outside alterations in. But he's buying good things. He's buying things that are quality, things that are going to last. And he appreciates how he looks, but he appreciates how he feels. And there's something to that. I mean, like I said earlier, and I say this all the time, clothing is a tool of communication. So why would you not use your best friend of communication to speak well of who you are when you walk in the door before words even leave your mouth? I mean, one guy just said, "You're Sunday best." I mean, whenever I'm walking to the house of the Lord, I'm meeting with the one and true holy God, and like he's called me into this industry. So if I'm dressing in jeans and t-shirt because everybody else is, I'm not holding everybody else to that standard because God's called me into that standard. But when I'm expressing myself, it's I'm giving that gift back. It's, hey, I'm dressing in a reverence to help posture my heart. When I come into the house of the Lord, then I'm focused, I'm listening. I'm not thinking about, the things that happened last week or things that are going to happen this week. It's I'm taking that time for the reverence. And, one of my recent posts I talk about, I feel we've lost the reverence. And for people who don't have a faith base a part of their life, I understand why it may not make sense to them. But there's a reason that things communicate specific things. Like when I walk into church, I'm making sure that I'm walking at minimum coat, trousers, shirt, tie. Like there's a reason that I'm walking into that. If everyone else doesn't do that, that's fine, because it's unfair to me to hold you to my standards when you don't hold yourself to that. But I know when I'm meeting with the one and truly holy God who had washed me clean of my sins with the blood of his son, Jesus Christ, and I'm not giving him my best every single day, and especially on Sunday, it's not about being a whitewashed tomb and looking like, oh, well, my car is clean and vacuumed and I'm doing this, and do you see my wife and my kids and everything? No, that's just, you're manipulating. You're manipulating everyone else to look at you in a specific, it's keeping up appearances, it's keeping up with the Joneses. But I know in my heart, it's, hey, I'm expressing my reverence for the Lord through the way that I'm presenting myself.
Oh, absolutely. I gotta say, man, if you've never whenever there's if it's a particular feast day, I'll wear a full morning dress to mass. I got a couple the double-breasted waistcoats and the tailcoat and the top hat. People love it, and it's very fun. It's very fun. After mass and everything, people all want to ask where you got it, and so it's very, very fun. If you don't, if you haven't rolled up to church in morning dress, I highly recommend it. Maybe don't just buy morning dress for that, but definitely if you've never done it before, I highly recommend rolling up to church in morning attire. And that's part of the fun of menswear is there's so many different tiers and parameters, and like I said, these parameters and these traditions really guide creativity in actual meaningful ways. And this is the biggest issue I have with the whole abstract art movement, and we see this a lot in clothing now. There are no rules. Everything's fine. Everything's acceptable. Everything's good. And as a general cultural rule, I think we've kind of seen, in the last decade or so, the pitfalls of all this. We've seen a very self-destructive society where self-destructiveness is considered a new form of art. If you look at even, like I said, the probably the most popular fast fashion, high fashion brand right now, Balenciaga, their creative designer, I think it was last year, if I remember correctly, She was all made up to look like a demon. She had like these bright red lips, very sculpted facial features, scarlet red hair, and she had two baby dolls covered in red paint to look like blood. And this is what she was at the Balenciaga conference or whatever the event was. And that's one of the reasons I do go against a lot of this stuff in a much more aggressive way than a lot of people do in the fashion world, is because this stuff is satanic.
Yeah.
You can, and it may not always appear directly satanic. You might, especially a lot of secular mainstream people will think you're a little crazy calling something satanic. But if you look at it for more than 5 minutes, you use your brain and you watch a very secular brand, it's kind of like watching a bacteria for a little bit. It may not look like much. It might just look like some moisture in the container. But you leave that in the fridge for a week. You give it some time, and it will start directly referencing the devil. And it happens very, very regularly. You see this at the Met Gala. You see this with a lot of high fashion brands. And I think classic style has a duty, especially the Christians in the classic style world, which a lot of people in the classic style world are Christians, and most Christians who are fashion oriented or care about presentation, aesthetics, and art and style tend to lean into this, at least to some extent. Have to stand up against that and have to start taking, having a little hotter takes. Maybe some people aren't quite as ready as I am to be super combative about it, but I think the more that happens, the better it'll be for the menswear world, the better I think it'll be for the fashion world, the better I think it'll be for the culture, obviously, is if more classically style-oriented people start to take a more of a moral stance. And I understand a lot of us are business owners, and it's a bit of a daunting task to worry about alienating any customers, especially in an industry where it's not the mainstream right now, where we are a little limited as far as, the average clientele would go than we would have been a few decades ago. But I think if anything, that's more motivation, because what else do you have? What do you have to lose? If anything, you're only gonna make yourself stand out as the kind of person that's doing the right things, and more people are going to be encouraged to support you and stand by you than weren't going to shop with you in the first place. Because traditional style clothing, with the occasional, like I said, rebellious alternative woman, for the most part, the people coming in to get classic stylish stuff are people that at least have a hint of a more traditional demeanor. So I think the menswear world becoming more iconic of a more traditional point of view in life is really only going to benefit our world.
So I actually, when I was deciding my attire for my wedding, I thought, well, we're going to do a formal wedding, and I already have a tuxedo. I actually have 2 tuxedos, and I thought, okay, well, like, what am I going to do that's going to be special for that day? So I actually decided to do morning dress. So instead of doing a dove gray double-breasted shawl waistcoat, I'm doing a cream, and then black coat, and then the cashmere striped trousers, and whole cut shoe, and the whole thing, minus the top hat. But I wanted to do something that was special, and especially for that day. And I'm not opposed to wearing morning dress to church. I mean, it would seem quite odd.
It'll definitely well, as long as you take your top hat off when you go in. But people will only compliment it. Like I said, give it a try. Give it a try.
Well, I can now think of other places to wear that to. But there's like you said, like there's a place here in downtown Fort Worth called the Bass Hall. Beautiful, I mean, exquisite building, and it's there's all sorts of musicals and symphonies and everything that are played there, and it's amazing that people will still show up at most like in jeans, polo, and just their jeans or something like that. And I'm just going, you're going to, can you not just look at the architecture and understand, oh, this is going to be a little bit special, this should be a bit more different? And I am all for encouraging, even for the regular, especially Southern man, where he's not going to show up in morning dress, but it's show up in at least a collared shirt, show up in a coat, show up, in the summer. I mean, you're not going to want to do that, which is, understandable, but there's something about Sundays that are different. And if that helps, like I said, in this post, I'm not saying you're a bad Christian if you're not dressing well for church, because if you're dressing that way for compliments, or it's a fashion show, or
it's
whatever,
vanity. It's vanity at that point.
It's vanity, absolutely. But for me, I'm always checking my heart of like, okay, why am I wearing this? Because I'm going to turn heads, or am I going, okay, this is something that's posturing. This is something that's causing me to think differently. This is something that's making me view my view where my heart's at. Like, am I coming to the altar like, Lord, I'm giving you the first fruits. I'm giving you
the
I'm
best
giving
I
you the
have.
best of what I have.
Yeah.
Like, you, absolutely, and that is a reflection of my heart. And of course, there have been times, when I walked into, the house of the Lord, and I didn't present myself in the best way because I was dressing for attention, but not for intention. And there was one time I was actually I had been invited to a friend's parish. Her family was Mormon, but I said, I want to go to church with you guys because I want to see what your service is like. Completely different than what I'm used to. Didn't really understand it, but I still walked in suit, tie, shirt, Oxford, everything, because it's, hey, this is still a house of worship, and I want to show my respect to that. Don't agree with that faith or that religion at all, but it's still, hey, there's still respect in this.
You got to stunt on the heretics a little bit. You got to stunt on the heretics a little bit.
Stunt on the heretics. Can that be a T-shirt? I don't really wear T-shirts that often, but if I do, I think that would be one of those.
No, especially it's kind of it's almost like a pseudo like colonial kind of thing. It's like, oh, I'm amongst I'm amongst not my people. I have to represent my people the best. If there's gonna be the best dressed person in the room of a bunch of strangers that don't believe what I believe, I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be the guy representing my group the best. Because that might be the only time they get to experience they might only get to experience my people this way. So I want them to, if this is their only time, because I'm Catholic, if this is their only time experiencing a Catholic, they're going to see a Catholic in morning dress. They're going to see him using a rosary as a Prince Albert chain. They're going to see a Saint Michael the Archangel, medallion on the end of at the end of the watch fob. They're going to have a very iconic image of what a young Catholic man looks like. And you're just doing your church justice by doing that.
Yeah. One thing I had heard from my father years ago, he was in the car with a colleague, and they were driving to a job site or something like that, and he had said, hey, if I've got a question for you. And I said, okay. He goes, if I didn't tell you that I was a Christian, would you know that I was a Christian by my actions? And he said, honestly, Chris, no, I wouldn't. And that was something that had always stuck with me, is that, I dressed myself in an intentional way, and I want to start a conversation, but I don't dress in that way to, I don't dress in that way to, like I said, elicit a response or to do anything like that. It's because I care, because I'm posturing my heart, and I know my heart. And if you start a conversation with me, I'm going to share that with you and share the reason, the reason why. And even if you don't have a faith element of your life, if you're dressing in this way, this manner, it shows something about your character, that you're respectful, that you're loyal, that, you do have morals, that you are respecting whoever you're going to. Like when I go to someone's house, like there was one time I went to, with a previous relationship, but I had walked to someone's house and I had just gotten off work, and I was wearing, I just gotten off work, so I was wearing, a suit. So I took the tie off, because I felt like that would have been way out of place, but I still walked in wearing the coat. And she's going, well, why are you wearing that? We're just going to someone's house for dinner. I said, no, we're going to someone's house for dinner. They are welcoming me into their own private home. So why would I not show them like that respect? I'm not expecting them to be that way, but I am showing you through my clothing, hey, I respect and I honor the fact that you've welcomed me into your home. Like that's the most sacred place that you're going to create pretty much as a human. So I'm showing you honor and respect in that moment by the way that I'm carrying myself.
Absolutely, it is. It's a very benevolent way to interact with the world. Just presenting a nice, it's a very general thing, but it is very true that, the better you present yourself to the world, the better you put out into the world. Especially in a world surrounded with so much evil, with so much separation from God. To make yourself, and a lot of people will make if you're out in a suit and tie, especially, and people can almost always tell if your suit is a uniform for you or if it is a way of style for you. And I can, maybe it's just because I'm in this world, I can instantly tell, but I think most people can kind of tell subconsciously as well. If you're if you're leaving from your office or going to your office, or if this is, this is how you present yourself. And that being how you present yourself, is it's kind of become a very played out thing to say in the men's world, but it is an act of rebellion, especially in such a hard to live in secular world. filled with people who want to destroy tradition, who want to tear it down. And unfortunately, there's a lot of those people. And this is one of the reasons I have a big issue with the vintage style, not vintage values thing. It is kind of facetious. It is kind of sneaky in a way, because it's taking these things that are iconically traditional that we all recognize as beautiful, and it's putting these very, some mentally ill people, some very nefarious people in them, and it's creating this image that this is what historically America looked like. These are the kind of people that wore this stuff. These Antifa sympathetic activists were the iconic image of the 1920s or 30s or whatever era they wear this costume of, and that's I think a lot of people overlook that when they see this kind of stuff. But I think it is a subconscious realization that is really winning over the culture war in a historical way, because because our whole world is imagery. We create imagery. We create an aesthetic. We create a presence. We create atmospheres with what we make. And that's what these same people like to do, is they're creating an image. They're creating an atmosphere. And what's worse about it, they're not creating just something new. At least Balenciaga is creating something new in kind of an offbeat direction. But the vintage style, not vintage values, crowd is hijacking history in a way. They're hijacking history by being this not the only, but the most popular modern living representation of that history. And that's one of the reasons I started what I do, because I thought someone has to counter signal this in some way, right? Someone has to assume a little bit of the risk, a little bit of the social risk, and risk getting, persona non grata from all his fashion friends, to say, like, this isn't what history looked like. This isn't what classical elegance was made for. And it's heartbreaking that a lot of people think that's just how it is. And it's heartbreaking to see a lot of big mainstream menswear creators, like I said, I love early Gentleman's Gazette, but Modern Gentleman's Gazette fully embraced the vintage style, not vintage values thing. And they did this. It was a really bad video. And these are all my personal opinions, by the way, to the audience watching. These are all my personal opinions. They did this really bad video of things a gentleman would never do. A gentleman doesn't bully. It's like, yeah, a gentleman's not cruel. That we all know this is true. A good man is not cruel. But you're not going to razz your friends. You're not going to give your friends a hard time. And that was the message they were clearly sending out. A gentleman, is never upsets a woman. And it's like, listen, you shouldn't try, listen, I try to sometimes. It's very entertaining. But, this can't be the direction that the menswear world becomes iconic of, as being this very feminine, this, like, the average man in a suit should not be synonymous with feminist activism, and it shouldn't be synonymous with a secular, mentally ill society, and unfortunately, you see a lot of, mainstream menswear creators either going totally apolitical and completely feigning neutrality, which, a lot of them aren't really neutral. They just keep it to themselves. But the issue is, especially as Christians, Christ did not come to tell everyone everything's fine, that doing what you're doing is fine. He came with a sword. He came to divide homes, because there is right and there is wrong. And there is, especially in the modern age, there is a huge risk to saying what is wrong, to saying something's wrong, especially if you're in a community like this. And like I said, with the menswear community, if we branched out and expanded and kind of overlapped and offered our services, because especially as Christians, we are servants at the end of the day. We are experts in our field, and we offer that as servants. And if we offer that out to more groups and more people, we would expand, and the whole idea of classic style would go from this niche kind of hobby that it is now to something bigger and grander and bolder. And that's what I want to see for it, because I love this stuff. This is what I live for. I could have gone and been like a consultant, or like, just a typical college degree career person, and occasionally worn a peak lapel to the office. If I was feeling really bold, I'll wear a skinny little peak lapel every now and again, or I'll wear a pocket square or colorful socks if I'm feeling bold. But I decided against that because I knew what my heart was calling me to do. God gave us instincts for a reason, and I think the more people that acknowledge their instincts in and out of the menswear world are going to see much more happiness in their own lives, and they're going to feel closer to God, even if there is a bit of a social risk involved. And here's the thing. There's already a lot of people that agree with this, and they're going to be welcomed with open arms, and their talents are going to be appreciated and absorbed by so many people outside of just this little small menswear world. And the more people that get to learn this, that get to appreciate this and understand this and be outspoken about it, I'm excited just thinking about it, because I know there's people watching that are thinking this exact same thing, and it's time to be bold. You know, things haven't been getting a lot better in the last few years. Things have only gone in one direction. What do you have to lose? You know, be bold. Say what's really on your mind. You know, you might lose one customer. You might lose one customer, but you'll gain 10. Because every time, you know, because that one customer that gets upset, that one person that gets upset, they post it everywhere. And the good, decent people see that. They see someone standing up for what they believe in, and they respect it and they admire it. And they decide, you know what? I didn't really have much of a style identity before, but this suit guy, he's standing up for what's right. He's standing up for what I believe in. Maybe I'll start wearing a suit more. Maybe are suits the icon of someone who wants to restore and build a new and better society that's closer to God? And that's what I want. That's my grand master billionaire George Soros-esque plan, is for the suit to be, you know, for classic style to be the image of a new, you know, of a new society that's being built right now. A lot of things are crashing, a lot of things are being rebuilt, and I want classic style to be the image of the people that care, of the loving, good people that care, that are building that new society.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with a lot of, you know, what you just said there, and, you know, I'm grateful to, you know, kind of, you know, to connect with more people who have, you know, the same perspective, and, you know, they care about, you know, how they present themselves and carrying themselves. And this is not, you know, oh, if you don't believe my perspective, then you're wrong. I'm going to attack you and call you, you know, every name in the book. No, that's not it. It's, hey, this is my stance, and I will not falter on this, and this, you know, and this is who I am. So, you know, I'm, you know, like I said, grateful to connect. We're definitely going to have to do this again. I'm going to have to head this way, not, you know, because I'm like, oh, I'm uncomfortable.
No, no, it's totally, I totally understand. I'm sure we're running out of time on the Instagram live anyway, but definitely, man, definitely come back on. Yeah. I do a cocktail hour show. I think it'd be a lot of fun for you to co-host. So I'm starting to bring on co-hosts for that, where we mix a drink and we take call-ins. Okay. So, real quick though, while I do have you here, I just want to see if there are any, because I know we got some super chats here. I just want to see if there are any questions for you real fast.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, no, you're good. You're good. It's just people telling me I was muted in the beginning, which I think I was. I think there was a little hiccup when I switched cameras there. But we're all good here. But yeah, definitely we'll have to do this again, man. This is a really great opportunity. I hope this was a exciting piece of content for the fans of Menswear Mindset. I had an absolute blast.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, as always, if you're not following Gentleman's Avenue, follow that Menswear Mindset, like you said. But so don't you have two different accounts?
So I have my personal account, which is So my personal account is TR Sarter, at TR Sarter, easy to find. And then there is the Order of Social Antiquity, which is the vintage style, vintage values movement as a whole. There's a few content creators that help contribute to that. Some of them want to be named, some of them don't. But you know, we bring people in all the time to the OSA. It's a group of like-minded people who care about traditional aesthetics and restoring them in a new, meaningful way. So if you want to follow that and follow TR Sarter, you know, it's just two accounts giving the same great content.
Awesome. Well, buddy, I appreciate it big time. Thank you so much. Guys, if you don't know, so TR actually reached out to me, and I was, you know, very grateful for that. So again, thank you for that. I'll reach out to Louis. Like I said, if you're up in Erie, Pennsylvania, check out Louis Jaramita, Primo Tailoring.
Absolutely.
I think you should appreciate his shop, and he's just a great guy to talk to. But yeah, we should talk about having you on the podcast. I think that would be really fun.
Definitely, man. Yeah, no, I had an absolute blast. This is a lot of fun. All right, buddy. Hey, you take it easy. Awesome. God bless.
All right, we'll do. See ya.
See ya. All right. Oh, and the phone fell with a vibration. All right, let's switch over the camera here. Goodness gracious. You know, I love things never fully working. There we go. Okay, we're back. We're back with the regular camera. I'm very sweaty. It's the AC, I guess, went out. I'm gonna have to fix that later. But But yeah, no, all the super chats are just me saying I'm muted, which is true. It was true, and that was because there was a hiccup, there was a disconnect with the mic. But we're back now. We're live. We had an absolute blast. That was Austin Robertson of Menswear Mindset. Because a lot of them have good instincts. You know, you wouldn't be in classic menswear if you didn't have some good instincts. And I really do believe we have to, you know, especially, you know, in AF, in the more political circles, I really do believe that we should really be bringing more of those guys in and encouraging them to be bold like we are. You know, really, you know, red pilling these guys and really, you know, having a lot of outreach to them. So I was very, very glad that Austin could bring me on. I had an absolute blast. And he's a great dude. I look forward to having him. I would love to have him co-host a cocktail hour with me. I think that'd be so much fun. I'd probably just make Manhattans with him because I love Manhattans. Shockingly, I love dark spirits. They're very, very yummy. If you don't like dark spirits, probably low IQ. If you like martinis, you're probably low. I'm just giving Roger Stone a hard time. I'm sure he's probably watching, and he doesn't like dark spirits at all. But how is chat doing? I want to check on chat. What are you guys talking about here? Can I call again on Telegram right now? I'm an owner of Zero Suits and have a couple basic bitch questions. Forgotten American? Yeah, let's open up a little call-in here. This is an exceptional episode. Let's just open up a little call-in. We're going to open up a little call-in on TR Sartorial, on TR Sartor Official. I'm thinking my website, TR Sartor Official. We're going to open up a little call-in here. We're going to, you know, someone's got some questions. I can answer those questions. Maybe I'll be answering questions for other people who, you know, might have had those too. Let's bring it on. All right, the call-ins are open on Telegram. The Telegram link is down below in the base of the stream. So go ahead, click on that, call in. You can say hi. I'm not going to give you a hard time if you don't have anything to say, but if you do have something to say, I'll be very excited. So call on in. I hope Forgotten American is still watching. I hope he hasn't forgotten. Suits equal swamp ass. Yeah, I mean, my AC's out right now. Suits equal swamp ass for me right now, which is why I wear my roadie short shorts to help vent the aforementioned swamp ass. Because the cool thing is, when you're only seen waist up, you can kind of see my shirt's obviously untucked. Because high-waisted trousers you'd see at the bottom. But, you know, we're making it. We're making it. We're surviving. You know, it was an absolute blast. I'm glad Austin brought me on, and I look forward to coming back. I think these are more. I think there's many more of these conversations to be had in the classic menswear world, and I can't wait to have those because, you know, this is part of what I set out to do. Is I wanted the people that are very knowledgeable about these traditional aesthetics to kind of understand the world we're living in better, because I think some of them do already. If they appreciate this stuff, they kind of understand their godly inclination towards traditional beauty, but to really understand just how much the forces that be, you know, the Jews are waging war on everything traditional and beautiful, you know. And it's a gradual process, but I want more of them. I want more people in these different fields and expertises who understand and appreciate traditional beauty to really start fighting the good fight as far as you know, removing this like stigma of because unfortunately, you know, when you're in the red pilled space like I am for so long, you forget what social norms are a little bit. You kind of do. So you kind of have to, you know, you have to be a little tentative, but this is the reality. This is, you know, we all live in the same world. We all see the same things. It's about knowing how to perceive those same things. And I think there's a lot of good people with some good instincts that need to, that just need a little, you know, just need a little encouragement to really embrace what their instincts are telling them. And I think Austin's a great dude. I think he's very smart. I think he's on the right path. But yeah, no, I hope you're still watching Forgotten American. When did you, oh, it doesn't say when you, there's no timestamps on these. I don't know if Forgotten American's still watching, but we are doing call-ins right now. We are live doing call-ins on Telegram. If you'd like to call in and give your thoughts, then we'll get into it. Forgotten American. Be ready in 2 seconds. Okay, I can. I can sneeze for 2 seconds. That was about 2 seconds, right? Like someone clip that and time it for me. How long that sneeze was? Because I think, yeah, I definitely think that was more than. I think it might have been 2 seconds. It might have been a 2 second sneeze. I can always sneeze again, if you want to buy some more time. Fellas, I got 24/7 swamp ass. Real and true. Honestly, if you don't have 24/7 swamp ass in the summer, are you even dapper? Are you even dressing well if you don't have 24/7 swamp ass? You know, there's a few times for shorts, but for the most part, you really, if you're a real dapper one, you should have 24/7 swamp ass. Quite frankly, you know, Forgotten American is you're waiting, buddy. I'm just gonna have you just raise your hand for him if you want to call in. I know you said you wanted to call in, but I made this one mistake once of putting a guy on the spot, and I felt so bad for it that you have to raise your hand if you want me to bring you in. So whenever you're ready, just raise your hand, buddy. You know, what up, Max Groipa? Yeah, it's been a fun day. I'm glad to be streaming consistently. It's good for me. It's good for the audience. It's a lot of fun. We love it around here. I see too many men in t-shirts and jeans there. Yeah, no, it's rough. It's rough going to church nowadays because it really it's discouraging if you want to be at least a dapper little guy once a week. You know, it's tough. Very, very tough because you're usually the only guy there and everyone knows all these questions and comments, and it's a headache. I hate the little comments. I really do. And this is one of my least favorite parts of working retail at all. Is like the comments, you know, like just the little comments. Like if you have to scratch something out and rewrite something, like, oh man, you made a mistake. Like just like the comments. I hate the little comments. Anyone who's worked retail knows exactly what I'm talking about. Like customers will just make comments, and it sucks. Yeah, swamp ass pill. No, you got to be swamp ass pill, man. Honestly, you can't be a true drip cell if you're not swamp ass pill. If you don't smell terrible. If you don't smell like fermented onions, you're not truly red pilled at the end of the day. I want to know what Forgotten American wants to know. I'm curious what basic bitch questions he has, because I love answering the basic bitch questions because I never give a basic bitch answer because there's so much more than just the yes or no. Oh, here's what my favorite YouTuber once said about this. You know, there's so much more to it than that. TR looks like Review Bra's long lost brother. Yeah, no, I'm a higher T Review Bra. No, actually, I think it would be fun to have Review Bra on here. You know, I don't know if he drinks though. It'd be fun to review like a spirit with him or something like that though, or review some fast food. Honestly, it would be fun to have Review Bra on as a guest and like review a cheeseburger. It'd be kind of it might be Cozy's first mukbang stream, but it would be pretty good content. I think it'd be a lot of fun. We appreciate finer things than fast food. Listen, yeah, no, finer things are nice and all. A nice marbled steak is nice and all. Nice little stogie, nice little single malt scotch. All very nice stuff. But a McDonald's cheeseburger at just the right time. Maybe this is because I've had like a dozen glasses of scotch at this point. But a McDonald's cheeseburger just sounds delicious. You know, a nice double cheeseburger. Oh man, and I really do love the in-app ordering. It's not very trad of me to like the in-app ordering, but I love the in-app ordering because you don't have to talk to anybody. I don't have to go in front of some like hungover cashier worker who knows like 2 words of English and try to explain that I want a plain cheeseburger with just ketchup and extra cheese because I know I'm not going to get that. But if I order it through the app, I get it every time. And no, I don't have to explain it to anybody. But Forgotten American wants to call in. Let's bring in Forgotten American. What's up, buddy? You're live on the call-in. What's going on? You gotta unmute yourself. If you're talking right now, you do have to unmute yourself. There we go.
Wow.
I was
doing the unmuted thing. How's it going, man?
I'm having a great night, buddy. We had a great show. What's going on with you?
Oh, just perusing through Cozy as I do, and had a good day at work, and yeah, just a basic wagey shit, and yeah, I always like watching. Excuse me. Wow, I always like watching your streams because I'm very I admire what you do a lot because I would say I'm very like casual and whatnot, but I'm still like you know style like sensible. You know what I mean? You know, uh, the very basic kind of Crocs type. I'm from the Midwest, so if this would make any more sense, like the very the basic unacceptables of just shit you shouldn't wear, and just basic things such as matching colors, things that just work for your body. Like I get those kind of basic concepts. You know what I mean? But when it's come to suits, I love watching your stuff, but you're like so knowledgeable. It's like kind of intimidating, and I don't mean to like. You're not saying like like, you come off like a snob, but you come off like a like a master of your craft, which is dope. But
It's a very kind way of
yeah,
putting it.
sorry, I'm kind of going off. It's like my first time talking to you, so.
Hey, all good, man, all good.
But yeah, um, so I guess I'd just have to, like I said in the comment, these are going to be. I'm not giving you any echo, am I?
No, you're good, buddy. You're good.
Okay, all right.
I heard a little bit there, but it's not enough that I'm going to worry myself with it. Continue.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to like lean way back. I got a ghetto set up right now. I did it real quick, but so I have no suits. I have worn, I think, I can't even remember. I've worn a suit maybe a couple of times. I was real young. My brother's wedding and something else. That's it. And so to like, what's like your beginning, sort of starter advice, to like Joe Schmo, like to like because I don't know where you're from, but like what's a good like chain or brand store that I should maybe look for to even begin, because I'm in your lower middle class bracket, I guess you'd say, income wise. So I'm not like a lot of the AF Groiper generals like yourself, not high rolling. So
I wouldn't
maybe
call
start with that.
me,
And
I wouldn't call
I
me
guess
a general, but I'm very flattered. I would say this is actually one of the reasons I started TR Sartorial, is so that guys who want to get into this stuff but are still a bit budget conscious, because we're all young guys, you know we're all starting somewhere. So I started TR Sartorial because what it is essentially it is restored secondhand. So basically,
wait, where is that? I'm sorry to cut you off. Where is that?
There's a link down below actually, and it's trsartorial.com. But there's a link actually down below in the cozy stream.
I'm a dummy. Sorry for cutting you off. Go ahead.
No, you're good, buddy. But that's one of the reasons I started it, because really the only ironclad kind of thing preventing a lot of guys from dressing better and embracing more classic style is budget. That's really the ironclad one. Everything else is kind of in your head, and some of it just comes from a lack of experience. But the only thing that's is actually stopping guys is who aren't quite prepared for the Sam Hyde credit maxing strategy. They're still budget conscious. So I started TR Sartorial, where I use my I've been in this industry for a while, and I've bought a lot of secondhand in my time. I still do. So I know how to spot quality, and I know how to fix up things that have a little bit of mild wear and tear, and then I put them on TR Sartorial. I try to keep things pretty low. I try to keep things as close to cost as I can while still operating the site, so that guys who are budget conscious can get a nice outfit, can get into classic style without worrying about having to take out a bank loan to do so. One day they'll come back to me with a custom suit, but I want to. I believe this stuff is for everyone, because I was there. When I was 14, when I was 20, I was there. I mean, I still can't just buy whatever I want. I'm obviously not I'm not going to Savile Row once a week to get a new suit. I totally understand what it means. What it means to want to dress well, but also not wanting to not wanting to totally wreck your resources. So that's why I started that, and hopefully you see some. And I add new stuff on there all the time. The only issue is because it's restored secondhand, there's not set lines yet. There is ready to wear lines coming on there, which will be a little more expensive, but the restored secondhand isn't going anywhere. It's not slowing down. So sizing is hit or miss, but like, what size are you, buddy? Just general guess. Do you know your jacket size?
Jackets. No, man. I honestly, I only like
what's
I only know size for like pants and stuff, man. That's about it.
Okay. What's like your t-shirt size and your waist size? If you don't mind, I mean, you're not gonna get waist size.
I'm generally like a 32. Okay. I'm generally like a. See, this is how bad this is, but I'm pretty sure 32, 30. 32 is that's the waist, right? Then 30 is the length, correct?
Yeah.
I always get that mixed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm generally, I float around a bit, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like 5'10" and some change or whatever. Now when it comes to shirts, I'm medium. Medium is always a safe bet, but there's a certain shirts, certain fabrics and whatnot where like a small will do me just fine.
Okay, so I'm gonna take a wild guess.
Generally, if I go small, I'll look like some Euro trash fucking metrosexual. So
no one wants the titties popping out, yeah. If the shirt gets too small.
No, they definitely not.
So I would say I would definitely get a measurement done if you can. Just tape measure around the circumference of your chest, like under your armpit, around your chest. Will give you your general jacket size, kind of a rough, rough jacket size. I'm probably going to take a wild guess and say you're somewhere between a 38 and a 42. Somewhere within that, and there's a lot of stuff on there in that size. So
I have a rather long wingspan, arm wise, but also chest and shoulders. I'm like I'd say like 155. You know what I mean? So like,
kind of a light
I'm slightly above average, whatever. So I mean that probably makes sense. I have one of those like actual, legit, tape measures you can wrap around your shit and and whatnot. I just have to find it. But yeah. So when I told you I'm coming in with the basic bitch questions, I also have basic bitch knowledge. So
hey, that's what I'm here for, man. No, seriously. Yeah, this is what this it makes my day to answer these kind of questions for people, man. Seriously. No, nothing wrong with that, man. I'm glad you're asking me.
Thank you. Yeah, because you're so very knowledgeable in the field that some other the guys out here like having fun with lampooning some of the less fortunate of us, and you're always so happy go lucky to jump at the chance to help people, and I admire that about you. So I felt safe calling in.
Well, I do love Dalton's call-ins. I know you're talking about Reactionary Radio's call-ins, and those are hilarious to listen to, though. It is very funny.
Right. There's a reason behind it, and you know what you're getting into.
Oh no, absolutely. But someone who's trying to, who has this very esoteric kind of set of skills. I love getting to put them to use whenever I can. So, maybe it might not be the most hilarious content in the world, but you never know who's watching. You never know who might be also wondering that same thing. So you probably asked it for several people, and that's awesome, man. You probably got a question answered for a lot of people, which is awesome.
Yeah, most definitely. I had maybe is it alright if I ask maybe like one or two more things, and I'll get out of your hair, or?
Yeah, man, go for it.
All right. So I got a couple of buddies who are essentially in my spot. I'm not to age docs or whatever, mid-ish, early-ish, I'll just say 20s, whatever.
Yeah.
And they finally started getting into suits. And that the route that, for my understanding, and listening to you and others, and just kind of, you know, how AF has now generated this culture of with Nick and you, like, hey, don't be a slob, wear a suit, you know, this sort of thing. I've been trying what it really reminds me of is like cars, like for instance, like, you know, you talked about, I remember hearing you talk about Nick and like making a suit for him and stuff like this, but like Nick likes that kind of modern sort of,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the terminology or exactly how to explain it, but like
More like
that
new school,
works for
fashion
him,
forward
and
kind of
that's,
school
but
of
it's
thought.
also style wise works.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, and yeah.
Yeah, so and obviously Nick's a very eccentric guy, and like I said, the big jacket stuff like that from the
Right.
first Nick rally, it was a it was a look, and that's I think appeals to it for because there are a lot of
Oh
growers
yeah,
that
that
like
was a
that
hell
new
of a
school
look. Yeah.
look. They like that new school drip, and I think it's the
Yeah.
boldness, and I do think a lot of it's very creative. And I think a lot of it's interesting. The only issue is, beauty is very much reflected in nature. And one of the things you understand if you're around animals a lot or if you're big into nature is metabolism is everything. Things that move very fast tend to age very quickly. And this is a
Oh, I'm a
universal
big
rule
hunter.
across
I love
nature.
animals.
Okay, another hunter. Let's go. Yeah. So,
Yeah, dude,
things
let's
that move very
go.
fast, if you look at, small rabbits, rodents, things like that, they have very short lifespans because they move very quickly. They put a lot of wear and
Yep.
tear on their bodies. They metabolize things very quickly. And I think the same thing is true with culture. I think culture is something that God gave us as people with free will. And with that, but it's still reflected in God's creation, which is nature, and that things that come about very quickly
Mhm.
will also go away very quickly. Things that have a slow metabolism, if you look at like crocodiles that can live over 100+ years old and still be kicking,
Mhm.
they metabolize very slowly. They move very slowly, they operate pretty slowly, but they're also around for a while, and they've been around for a very long time. And that's my philosophy.
Okay,
When it comes to
okay.
one of the big things that is kind of one of the proving grounds of classic style in comparison to modern style is that the classic style is a very slow metabolism. Some things change and specialize here and there, and there are certain elements of classic
Oh,
style
okay.
that are distinctive of certain times, but overall, the general shape hasn't really changed that much because it has such a slow metabolism, because it
Okay.
changes
That
so
took me
slowly.
way too long to actually catch on to what you're saying, but
Yeah, no,
now that like
I get
that's
a
like
little,
an insanely awesome analogy.
I get a little into it. I get a little into it. But that's really how I feel. And
No, I
obviously,
love it, dude. It's awesome. Like now that it's clicked, that's awesome.
yeah,
So,
and there's some great people that embrace that more modern style. I don't think it's for me. I don't like Balenciaga. I don't like what the brand is about. And I think it's exciting to a lot of people because it's so bold, because it's so visually striking. And I think in general, especially in this world like political dissidence, you want to be as bold and striking and stand out as possible. It's kind of what I was talking about tonight. And that's very exciting for a lot of young guys. But I think we can't just get caught up in what's just bold and striking. We still have to think about the why behind it. And we have to think about, okay, if we are going to change things, if we are going to go in a wild new direction, why are we have to choose the imagery of that new direction carefully.
yes.
Because I think if
Yeah.
we just go for what's the most striking,
If I may,
it's very easy
oh,
to take
sorry.
advantage. It's very easy to take advantage of cultural changes that are just looking for the most bold, striking thing. You can be anyone as long as you put things in a neon color with very dramatic styling. You can lead the aesthetics of whatever you want if they're just looking for bold and striking. You still have to think about the why behind it. And even if
Right.
with obviously a priority on if you want to be bold and exciting, but you can't forget the why. You can't forget the why and the school of thought around what you're doing that's bold and exciting.
Exactly. Yeah, no, totally. And one thing I was gonna say is kind of like, because I guess I don't know why, to me, like a lot of the your analogies that I've heard and just sort of like how it works, everything from like whatever strata you are with, money and all this, and like what you wear and all this. It really reminds me of like cars. This is something that Harris Walker, I think, would probably appreciate. I'm also a big car guy. Excuse me. So like, there's something to be said about like, you know, people hate on like a Lamborghini or Porsches or whatever, that snob Euro trash rich people car, but there's like a place for that, you know. But there's also something even more sexy in another way about like a first gen early 90s RX-7 with its originally like, you know, rebuilt like rotary motor, you know, with like a, you know, painted, you know, candy apple red, you know what I mean? Just like,
Yeah.
so, you know,
It's
but it's not
you
like
don't
it,
see
but
it
it's
on the
not a
road every day.
Porsche
It's
though, you know what I
exciting. Yeah.
mean? Like it's, yeah, yeah. I've never really heard you talk about cars, so maybe you don't really feel that exactly. But like all your descriptors of like, you know, like I remember you talking about like Beardson and like how you were sizing him up for his suit and like, you know, why you were doing it and everything and like, um, yeah, and like obviously you kind of like lost me in the, not in a bad way, lost me, but because I'm like not as smart as you,
I'm hyper
but like
autistic. I'm
just
hyper
like the
autistic
whole
about
it's
about all the bits and bobs. You know, I'm just full of odd knowledge.
no, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of how like I've now started to think about it and like basically and maybe this is where I'll kind of leave it off if you have someone else coming on or something like that. I don't want to hog up your airtime, but I was just gonna at least start off with um, something somewhere. Like, would you say maybe like you know, you probably have everyone has like a goodwill, I guess, but like, would that be somewhere you would start? Like, because my idea, like, you know, the first things I saw in the dissident right was like what I thought suits were, you know, like you know, you saw the old stodgy kind of like 1950s brown suits people would wear, sort of thing, like Barry Goldwater looking suit. But then I saw like Richard Spencer. This is, you know, back in the day, and like his three piece, you know, like what's that called, like a three-piece European suits or
It's like
whatever
a
they are.
suit with a vest.
And
Yeah.
I thought like, oh yeah, that's like what a nice, that's like the Porsche of suits. But then like listening to you, I realized that's kind of like what I was talking about, like the Lamborghini, except he drives his Lamborghini every day. Like that's kind of douchey. Am I getting that wrong? Kind of. Am I or
I see what
sort
you're
of?
I see what you're saying. Well, the suit is the new direction for the suit is creating visual interest with it, because unfortunately a lot of mainstream suits are very boring. They're very plain. They're all the same, and we have to, you know, this is what I do.
Yeah.
You know, I make suits interesting. I make them exciting. I make them fun. I make them more than just like a thing for like trad larping, weddings, and funerals. You know, there's much more to it than that, and I love bringing that to people, because not everyone's going to want to know how the exact perfect button configuration of a jacket goes or a waistcoat goes. But if I can provide a product, if I can provide my services and offering that information when it's asked for, and providing something that already looks good, that I've already done all the mental lifting to bring to people, you know, that's really winning that part of the culture war. And I do like, you know, I do think it was a good instinct of Richard Spencer to want to wear a three-piece suit, because he obviously wanted to stand out from the typical two-piece style. You know, whether you like the guy or not, you know, I'm not, you know,
Yeah.
I think him and
No,
Nick
yeah,
are
I wasn't
cool
hating
now,
on it.
but
Like, I actually kind of liked it.
but yeah, no, I've never interacted with the guy, so I you know, but it was a good choice of him to want to do a three-piece suit, and I understand the line of logic that he had with that. With that, he wanted to stand out. He wanted to do something that was a little more old-fashioned, and in that being more old-fashioned, stood out, but in a still recognizable way. So I totally understand the school of thought that he was coming from with that.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. And to be clear, I wasn't hating on it. Like I thought they looked dope, but
No, I didn't think it
what I
were
get from
good.
you, you know, you have you okay. Yeah, what I get from you and what I like about you is like you have a very like refined taste in like everything you do, from your video games you play to your, you know, your choice of alcohol, but also suits. Like you're going over the fabrics when you were making like Beardson's suit, and like, you know, you have like the expertise and the ability and your business or whatever to like make the craziest Conor McGregor flashy suit, but like you're literally looking at, I can't even describe it the way you're describing it, but like you were talking about his showmanship to like literally his physical attributes, obviously, to all everything encompassing it, and you were like breaking it down to like you know these like the lines in this. I just love all of that, and it's like kind of helping me inform maybe what to look for, but I'm still like not even at ground zero yet. So that's kind of like I guess my big question. Would you say like maybe take a couple $100 and go to uh Goodwill and just try and get like piece like basically piece some stuff together pretty much? Is that like where everyone starts, like wages anyway?
Well, yeah, no,
But
I think that's a great. I think secondhand is a great way to start. I would recommend starting at trsartorial.com first.
Okay.
But listen, I still gotta eat,
for sure,
but,
dude. Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, no, because the cool thing about thrifting is, especially because it's a more inexpensive choice, or even like restored secondhand, like I do, it's very inexpensive compared to the other options. And in that, you can try things that may not work. You can experiment. And a lot of style, is experimenting. Listen, there aren't a lot of pictures out there of it.
Yeah.
But there are pictures of me wearing very skinny tapered pants because those were trendy in the 20-teens when I first got into style. When I first got my first made-to-measure custom suits, I wanted to look cool. I wanted to look like what I saw in GQ. So that's what I did. And there, it looked goofy. It felt goofy. But I was dressing for compliments, and that's and I learned that that was a mistake through doing it. And now I can tell other people that is a mistake.
You mean like I'm sorry to interrupt. Are you talking like you were sporting like one of those like badass looking Conor McGregor type suits?
Yes,
like I don't know what if you could describe what he does. What
like the the icon of MMA, So all the other guys that I was like dressing up with all wanted to do the same thing. I was in college, all my fraternity brothers, we were all doing that. It was just the way it was. But I learned from that to
Am I a total fag for liking those suits, by the way? Like
yeah, the pants are pretty gay. You don't want to do the tight pants. You don't want to do the pants. The tight pants are pretty gay.
Okay.
Slimmer fit jackets with looser fitting pants is kind of the golden ratio because you have functionality in the sense that your pants fit and they're comfortable to sit and walk around in. But you still have this jacket that like hugs your chest and hugs your waist well and gives you that confidence, and it makes your chest look big, it makes your waist look narrow. The like I said, the 30s fit, man. The 30s silhouette is perfection. But yeah, but I learned these mistakes, and I spent a lot of money, even with my employee discount at the Men's Warehouse, making those mistakes with custom suits because I wanted bold styles that weren't ready off the rack. So with that, I get to, with that knowledge now, I get to keep people from making those same mistakes. And that's what I live for. Because a lot of guys get excited about this and they make all the same mistakes. And I can prevent those guys from doing that. And I can actually put them ahead of where I was at that age.
Save them money and set them up at a higher level than, where you couldn't have been at the same time. Yeah, exactly. That's very, very admirable of you, as well as being an absolute artist of your craft. I heard you say something. I know I said one more question. I apologize, but yeah, no, I hear you. I know I said one more question, but you keep tripping my interest. I have a men's warehouse in the small town that I live in, and I always heard from the adults in my life and whatnot, and just from people around. It's like one of the predominant places that you could actually go. Other than what we're talking about with the whole secondhand shopping, that's like really the only fancy or name brand place. I always heard that they're crap, they're cheap suits, they're $100 suits that fall apart. Like, so I always avoided it. Is this a total lie, or is it like restaurants where it like varies like franchise to franchise, or should I just totally avoid Men's Warehouse? Or
so it's kind of complicated. So there are some like the made to measure program at the Men's Warehouse, the Joseph Abood made to measure brand program isn't bad. I still wear some things that I had made in that time. There's a few vests that I absolutely love that were made in that time. The suit I was wearing the other day, the purple window pane that was like the light gray, that's actually from that program. So you can
Wow.
get
Yeah, I
some,
saw that
yeah,
one. That was nice as hell.
yeah, you can get a couple quality things from them. A lot of the only issue is they're kind of an aggregate
Wow.
brand in the sense that they sign on smaller brands to work with them. So it's just like a typical mainstream retailer. So it is kind of hit or miss. And the issue is a lot of the guys there,
Okay.
occasionally you'll get someone like me who's just really autistic about it and really wants to, really dress people up and really loves what he does. And those people are so much fun to work with. You'll become friends with these people. They're very fun people. The issue is a lot of Men's Wearhouse kind of hires anyone at just regular retail, typical close to minimum or minimum wage. So you may not always get the same expertise.
A Walmart grader could work there.
Yeah, exactly. Men's Wearhouse used to be a lot better place to work at too. It used to be one of these companies that just loved their employees and gave them so many benefits. And I got to, I left partially because I watched all those benefits go away. And I also wanted more. I love the men's.
So it's almost like the architecture of our clothing and fashion. Like it's just slowly gone away to just crap, utilitarian, Chinese-made shit.
A lot of it is,
to my understanding, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is though, with them, you're gonna, to get something quality in Men's Wearhouse, you're gonna still pay $800, $900, maybe $1,000, and for that same price, you can come to someone like me who will do it. Will have much more customization options for you. And, you'll have more of a relationship with that person. They'll really get to understand you for the same kind of price and for the same kind of quality. So I would recommend, like I said, I mean, if you want to do something custom, if you're, whenever you're ready for that, shoot me an email, man. We do pay in for now, whatever your budget is, I can work with it.
Yeah.
And, but if you want to start with TR Sartorial.
For real, I am going to hit you up because that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Because I remember you, because one thing that interests me about you as well is like, for the budget aspect, but also it kind of like just sort of told me, not that I have any knowledge about this, but just what you were saying basically about Beardson is like, you said something to the effect about how you could make a jacket for him and like, I don't know what you call the other, like the under piece or whatever, and like and something about you could just make him a few things, but then out of that you were speaking on how you could mix and match and basically
there's functionality. It's not
so for someone like
outfit.
me who wants to spend a little bit less money, you can have a ton of different variations. And I was just like, dude, this guy's not only like an artist, but he also is like has that mindset for the regular dude,
Well, because I love what I do,
that's
and
like
I
something
love
I'd be
people
interested in getting.
Yeah, because I love the people that come to me. I love the people that want to do something, that want to be more stylish. I don't really care what their budget is. I love that they came to me and want to be more stylish, and that's really all that matters. And I'm going to make it work regardless. Regardless of the ironclad factors. If you want to look good, I'll make you look good. I'll find a way.
Man, that's awesome, man. I'm gonna, with the little social media presence and friends and whatnot that networking I've made, I'm gonna push your link around to people that I know, because I know some suit havers in my life. So hopefully I can maybe push a few people towards you and get you some dollars, but. Yeah, hopefully, even more so, I want to be that person. But
hey,
of course, man, of course.
Thanks, buddy. Well,
but
I think we're gonna move on to some other callers here. But hey, thanks for calling in, buddy. This is a great conversation. This is a blast.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, thanks for having me on, dude. I really appreciate it. And thanks, dude. God bless you, and you have a good night.
God bless you too, buddy. Take it easy. All right. That was Forgotten American. What a cool guy. That was a fun conversation. I'm glad he wasn't forgotten. I'm glad he called in. That was a lot of fun. Beta Fish has been waiting here. Let's bring on Beta Fish. What's going on, buddy? How are you? You are live on the show. I think you got to unmute, buddy.
Hey, can you hear me, man?
I can hear you.
Yeah, internet kind of delayed, man. My bad.
All good, friend. So,
Hey, man, just what you're doing, man. I got into this, this menswear, classic menswear stuff pretty late in my life. In like, I'm a geezer to you guys. I'm a millennial, but it's never too late.
that's okay. My best friend's a millennial. I mean,
So,
granted, he is practically he's 30. He's practically a fossil at this point. I'm already booking him for spots at a museum, but
dude,
you know, I still love him to death.
Fossil, man. Nice. But like I like what I like that you're mentioning about the budget thing, because a lot of people don't take advantage of it. I put it down in the cozy comments that, like, just go to any thrift store, Goodwill, learn about what makes good fabric, learn about the styles and suits, man. It doesn't take too long. I mean, I got a decent understanding and knowledge of it all within like a good month or so, just watching some decent YouTube videos and stuff. You know, this stuff is not really too hard to follow. There's a set order, set path, and if you just keep up with that, man, you'll it gets easy to understand, and
Well, it does, and once you understand a little bit of it, you kind of get a general feel for it. There's some little quirks and tricks and some little hidden traditions and stuff like that. It's kind of fun to find. It's actually a lot like being Catholic. You understand the generalities of it. You understand the general rules and stations and principles. But, you start to get into certain saints, certain orders, certain, traditions and things like that. And it's exciting. It's interesting. There's a lot of cool stuff to figure out. And you can use all this stuff to kind of define your own personal identity within this historic structure.
yeah, man, like, yeah, exactly what you said, like, about being Catholic. I think it was one of Saint Augustine's words, well, one of his quotes that said, like, I, I forgot what it said, but more or less it was like, the Catholic faith is really simple to understand, but so deep, but at the same time as deep as the ocean. So that's kind of like how it is with menswear. Once you have the basics down, you'll start to get into all the other, like what you said, like the traditions, like um, like the different terminology and stuff, like spezzado. I'm butchering it.
Sprezzatura. I think you're talking about sprezzatura, the Italian like casual elegance.
I'm still such a freaking noob, but I know it though. You know what I mean?
but it is,
like,
but that's exactly what It's learning all these little things.
There's jacket.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they all are interchangeable in the end anyway.
Well, it is, but the interesting thing about that is architecture is kind of the same way. Art's kind of the same way in that, much like being a Catholic churchgoer, you can understand the basics and understand what's going on and understand how to draw yourself closer to God, the basics, and you can recognize it when you see it. People may not be able to tell you the difference between like Art Deco or Victorian or Art Nouveau and Baroque and Rococo and all these different architecture styles, but they know a classic building when they see it. They know an old-fashioned building when they see it. The average Catholic goer or Catholic church goer might not be able to tell you the difference between different monk orders and, different, doctrines around different saint philosophies and stuff like that. They may not be able to quote, a lot of Aquinas. Although if you meet a young Catholic guy and he doesn't have like a favorite Aquinas quote, you should probably raise an eyebrow. But
yeah, I know what you mean.
But once you understand the basics, you're kind of locked into these parameters of understanding, and these help kind of govern your thoughts and your creativity and your understanding in productive, meaningful directions, as opposed to just going all over the place. There's a great quote by Chesterton: "Your mind should not be so open that it falls out." And that's modern modern art. That's modern creativity, really, in a nutshell. Is that it's everything being so acceptable, everyone trying not to pick a fight, not to be controversial, not to tell anybody no, has just created this. And I think a lot of people who that when that kind of art and aesthetics started, with the whole abstract being acceptable, this kind of meaningless art being acceptable, really started with the desire not to tell people no, not to hurt anybody's feelings. to give all creativity a chance. And there's just some times where you, as a human being, as a creation of God, have to look and use your instincts that He gave you and say, no, this isn't cool. This isn't okay. This isn't acceptable. You got to try again.
Yeah, exactly. Like something I learned like recently. I mean, it's not I learned, but it's like something. It's like something you know, but you just haven't realized that you know in it until now. But something I realized is that art is objective. Yes, it is subjective. Well, I guess the way how we perceive it and what we like about it is subjective, but art in itself is objective. I mean, or at least there is an objective standard that's followed. So I mean, in like for example, like with classic menswear, it's all about mostly like the phrase is fit is king. That's the number one. That's like the main thing, and then the color combinations, the fabric that you want, and then fabric for the season, the style for the season, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It is all an objective standard that needs to be followed, and that's what creates the beauty. No order, there's no beauty.
Real. And that's the reality of the situation is you can't have creativity without guidance. You can't have creativity without direction. Because otherwise it's like having electricity in the air. If it's in the air, it doesn't really mean anything. But if you can put it and flow it through wires and harness it, you can have light. You can have everything. But if you're incapable of doing that, then you don't really have anything, do you? And I think a lot of people don't look at creativity quite in that way. They kind of understand it, but they don't think about it that deeply. And once they do, they kind of can't unthink about it that way. And that's the creativity red pills are some of the best ones because they really tie into everything else because we're the only creatures that can create. God made us in His image, and the biggest part of us being in His image is that we can imitate God and that we can create material things here on earth. We can be creative with the material earthly things in a sort of, I wouldn't say symbolic because it's all real, but it's in an imitation, in a way to be more like God and try to better understand the nature of God, who is the creator. He's the nature of existence, the nature of creation itself.
Amen.
So, I think that is, the biggest part of us being in God's image is our creativity and being able to direct that creativity in meaningful ways, using traditions, using, traditional wisdom is one of the best things we can do as people trying to become closer to God.
I think that's one of the many reasons why I really that really drew me into classic menswear. Not only just the order, but it's just like respect for the old. It's not a worship. It's not an idolization of the past. We're all futurists. You know what I mean? So, but we have that respect for what was before. We have it's that respect of what of the people who learned about this, who spread the tradition, and who continued the tradition. And there's so much history behind a lot of these styles. That's what I really love about it.
Exactly. There's history, there's schools of thought, especially, if you kind of want to, because a lot of us are very Eurocentric, we like to kind of play to our European heritage, whatever our Ellis Island stereotype kind of is. Some of us lean more into our Italian heritage or Irish heritage or whatever heritage, and there's schools of thought aesthetically for that. There's a very distinctive Irish stereotypical look, and it's, the tweed vest, the flat cap. The Italian look is very relaxed. It's very warm weather. Loose fitting pants and like an ascot and like a loose fitting button down shirt. Very relaxed, very elegant, but very 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 casual, very aloof. The English style, very buttoned down, very organized. A lot of structure, a lot of rules. You can kind of play into those things with your style. You can have fun with that. There's a lot of avenues to explore creativity through, and like I said, it's oddly enough. I hate to be a bit of a Disney fag here, but my favorite line ever in a Disney movie, and it really has been something that governed my whole way of teaching people about style. And it's a quote within the movie Ratatouille, and it's at the beginning of Ratatouille. It's Gusteau, the chef that inspires Remy on TV. He's saying, you know, you have to experiment. You have to try things that may not work. You know, anyone can cook, but only the fearless can be great. And that's so true of style. You're going to have to try things that won't work. You're going to have to make mistakes. You know, I can offer all the advice in the world, and you're still going to have to make a couple mistakes to become truly good. And this is true with this is literally universal to anything ever. You know, this can be taken to applied to literally anything in anyone's life. You're going to have to try things that may not work. You're going to have to try something that you are set in your mind is going to work that doesn't work. And you're going to have to learn how to recuperate from that. Pardon me. I thought that re came out a little better. You're going to have to learn how to recuperate from that and go back to the drawing board. You're going to have to learn how to go back to the drawing board on everything in your life at some point. This is all a part of self-knowledge. This is all a part of growing as a person. And only the fearless can be great. Only the people that can, you know, kind of venture off into the darkness, ready to make a mistake, can be great. You know, and this is something with hunting, you know. I'm kind of branching off a little bit here. I'll I'll bring it back. But, you know, with every hunt is different. Especially dangerous game, especially something that could hurt you back. The excitement is that you might fail, that you might make a mistake. That risk of making a mistake is why the appeal for this is there. If you knew you could go out and hunt a man-eating lion, that you would not miss, that lion would not know you were there until you fired the shot, and that everything would be fine, no one would do it because there's no excitement in it. The excitement is at the risk of failure.
I agree, man. I absolutely agree. And to kind of pivot back to what you talked about, like with breaking the rules and stuff, or like not following and to making mistakes. That's the great thing about having that set order and standard, because sometimes you can break the rules and it can actually turn out to be something better, or you'll find your own unique style with it, you know?
Exactly.
Which I really love about the classic menswear stuff.
Well, unless you're like super obsessed with a certain style and this becomes like your whole identity, everyone's personal style is going to be a mix, whether it's intentional or unintentional, of different schools of thought, of different styles, because different things are going to speak to different people. If you're a more rugged, and this is one of the reasons I love doing the Fittest for the Fit series, because every cozy streamer has such a unique, different personality that it allows you to explore these infinite styles and these infinite options that express these different personalities. Because this is true for everybody. You know, yeah, there are universal rules that guide us and direct us, but everyone's personality is going to take to each of those parameters differently. And within that, you have some really interesting opportunities for, you know, I hate the word diversity, but you do have a diversity of interesting aesthetics and interesting imagery, because all these different, you know, the Beardson suit looks nothing like the Wurzel suit, and neither of which look anything like the Franson suit, and none of them look anything like the Nick suit, because, you know, everyone's different and everyone is special, you know. You know, to make a long story short, everyone is so special, and we're all winners. But it's true, you know, these distinct dynamic personalities all create different imagery and conjure up different ideas in different people's heads. And it's exciting. It's interesting because they're all tied back to Christ. They're all tied back to God. They're all tied back to the fight against evil. And these fights against evil are expressed in so many different ways that it creates this wide front that we're fighting at all times. And style is my contribution to that front, I guess.
Amen. It's interesting you mentioned that, because the main reason why I started wanting to dress nicer was because of Catholicism, was because of Christianity, because of I've been watching like some like months ago, like I just been getting into really understanding the transcendentals more, like good, beauty, and goodness, beauty, and truth, you know. And so like how those three really draw you to Christ and stuff. And just like when someone notices something is beautiful, it's usually good, and there's a truth behind it, you know. And that just really copies the Trinity so well, and that's what draws you in, you know. People like things because it looks good, or because it is good, and looking good meaning like it's, I guess it's beautiful. It's there's beauty behind it, and then knowing that that it's good, that there's that aesthetically it's beautiful. Well, what's the truth behind it? And that's what really drew me into really wanting to dress nicer. And I've been wanting to dress nice since the beginning of the year, but it was really Catholicism that really pushed me to really just like, you know what? Let me be more presentable, and let me be more like I guess not like eye catching, because I'm not really doing this just because I want to attract the opposite sex or women. I don't know. This is really just it's just if I'm trying to be a godly man, let me present myself as a godly man. You know what I mean? If I'm making sense, I don't know.
No. You are. Your instincts are in the right place. It is a universal understanding of beauty. You could even take like the most hardcore, leftist type, and if you took them inside a church, they wouldn't say they love the beauty of it, but they would admire it. They just wouldn't say it out loud. But if you took them to like an old train station, or if you took them to the train station in DC, still this very Christian influenced classical architecture, they'd be like, oh my gosh, this is so pretty, I wish more buildings looked like this. Literally, you could go to the most staunched, satanic people, quite frankly, most fallen people, and this is how you know people are fallen. They're not totally gone, and they can be forgiven, and they can be redeemed. This is how you know, because you could take the most fallen person and bring them to a place of traditional beauty, and they would appreciate the traditional beauty before them. They would say, this is beautiful. They would say, oh, I wish more places looked like this. And that's a little bit of their soul crying out. Every time someone appreciates that classical
exactly.
beauty,
I completely agree.
surrounded by all this ugliness, it is their soul crying out for heaven. Is their soul crying out for protection and safety. And they're reminded of it, and we have to be there to protect that. We really do.
No, I completely agree, man. I think because we're so used to like it's interesting because you don't know until you know, because like since I got into the classic menswear stuff, like my eye is now a lot more keen to people's suits, sports jackets, their wear, what if it's fit, is it baggy, is it straight cut? I'm so used to like I can actually kind of point that out now, and I think when people we talk about architecture, we gotten so used to like the brutalism and the pragmatic type of cubicle type of like structure. It's just like when people see a Gothic church or a Baroque type of style building in church, they notice there's something there that's attracting them, but they can't pinpoint it. I remember even heck going back to McDonald's. There was a before and after picture of like how McDonald's used to look like compared to how it looks like now, and oh my gosh, you can see the culture just gone, and then McDonald's just looks like a old rundown, like middle-aged man who's just going through the motions in his life compared to what he looked like back then. It like McDonald's, their chairs had like the mascots. They were
Everywhere
all color. It
I
was
was
a little raggedy.
I almost went off on this on Twitter, but I wasn't quite sure how to word it. But it's true. If you go into any fast food place now, this is the epitome of like minimalism, of like this minimalist corporate hyper efficiency aesthetics. Everything looks like an employee break room. You could be an employee on your break from another place, and you walk over to the fast food place next to it. You eat there, and you're eating in a break room. Essentially, you're just this Zog slave at all times. And I think this is kind of and I started thinking about this. I got my gears turning a little bit, and this is the whole point of brutalist, minimalist aesthetics and art and architecture and everything. It's that you are always a slave. Everything is about keeping you enslaved and keeping you in this feeling of anything you enjoy in life, any burger you're having that's just a little bit tasty, or any time you're just even taking in like a fresh breeze, it's really just a break from working. It's really just a break from earning enough money to pay the interest rate on whatever debt has been accrued for you. And that's the aesthetic surrounding that. It is just it is a slave factory aesthetic. It really is.
No, and I noticed how like your recent posts, you always go against minimalism.
Oh no, I wage war on
And
it.
I
I
love
wage
that.
war on it. I wage a brutal guerrilla war on all things minimalist. I do. Maximalism, filigree, broguing, details, layers, all of it, all the time. Because I am God's most maximalist soldier. I really am. And I will wage brutal
The
guerrilla
most,
warfare on minimalism every point I get.
dude. I mean, look, the most, and I kind of hate to say this, but the most ugliest looking Catholic churches take that modern aesthetic of just that brutal, pragmatic approach. You know,
It's
like
efficient. It's
the
budget
architecture we
friendly.
talked about with
Yeah.
history. Yeah,
Fuck the
exactly.
budget. The
Like
money's
with
not real
the whole
anyway.
social class
Money hasn't been real in 20 years. Go maximalist. Go balls to the
it's all
wall.
fiat.
Put the balls on the table.
Fiat
Blow up the
economy.
budget. The money's not real anyway.
No, exactly. Fiat currency, it's all imaginary. It's whatever you want it to be.
Seriously, if any
It's
time
all
is the time for maximalism, it's now. Before the economy totally eats itself, implodes on itself. Maximalism has to, we all just have to like live like French kings. We all have to live like 1500s, like the Grand Marquis from John Wick, bro. We have to live like Marquis de Gramont from John Wick. Just balls to the wall, bespoke clothing, everything, Rolls Royces, like Roman hand sculpted gold filigree lined solid gold architecture. Just go ape shit with it. The gold standard is going to be built into the buildings instead of the banks. Let's go. We're just going to we're going to Sam Hyde credit max the entire country, and it's going to be really, really beautiful. The economy's going to collapse, but all the stuff's going to be made super expensive and well, so it's going to last. And you're going to have this beautiful
hell
society rebuilt within not even the ruins, because it's all lasted and maintained. And boom, we have the fixture. I literally just fixed society without any complicated economic processes.
Heck, dude, no, seriously though. I mean, cause like, look, in a somewhat practical standpoint, like if we make something beautiful, that makes people want to maintain it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, well
In
people
like, in a
yeah.
simple,
People volunteer. People
practical
donate
standpoint.
time to fix up these beautiful churches, mainly because they're honored to get to touch 500-year-old marble and get to maintain and clean something that's been around since before their great grandparents. When I was over in England, I my first day there, I walked across floors that were older than my whole country in one of these Gothic churches. This church had been there since the 1500s, and there were knights' tombs out of sculpted marble in the main hall. And these knights' tombs were 300 years older than my entire country. It's a humbling thing that really sets your perspective on civilization and beauty and preservation. It changes it in a way that you wouldn't have thought of earlier. Maybe it's a very Anglo-centric thing, but being who I am in England, it really sent it. It was a major. It led me to my major red pills. It really opened me up to those in a way I hadn't really considered before.
Yeah. Hey man, it's been great talking to you, man. I gotta go. I'm still gonna be listening. I can't talk right now. I'm gonna be around fam.
All right, buddy, you take it easy. I don't know how long we'll be doing the call-in still, but if anyone else wants to raise their hand and call in, you're welcome to do so. But thank you for calling in, Beta Fish. Hope you call in again, buddy.
Thank you, man. I had a great time. See ya.
See you, buddy. Take it easy. Yo, Amerigo wants to speak. Let's go. Amerigo's been listening in here for a little bit. Yeah, the Puss in Boots of America first. Amerigo.
Hey, what's up, TR, man?
What's up, buddy?
Not much, just packing for my trip. My least favorite part of it, but it has to be done if you want to look nice, I guess.
Hey, packing. Is it for the Fuentes rally?
Yeah.
Yo, let's
Yes,
go.
sir.
Dude, there's a couple of my buddies are already down there now, and I'm getting so much FOMO. I really am. I almost ate a 762.
Yeah, I was gonna
Tokarev
ask if you
on
were
the
gonna be
stream
there.
right
I want to
now.
get
I feel
a.
so bad. I wish I could go.
Oh, you're not okay. I was hoping to get
I
a fit
wish.
rate, but
I wish,
maybe
man.
another time.
I freaking wish, bro. It seems like it looks like it's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, maybe at the. I don't know if I would bring the same suit though. I feel like that would be a bit tacky. Um,
Just new accessories,
bring
man.
to
Suits are
the
meant
same
to be
suit.
reworn.
Yeah, yeah. Probably just match it up with a new tie or, you know, handkerchief, the works.
Real. So what's on your mind, buddy? What's going on?
I just really wanted to get your opinion on like do you think it's like appropriate to wear like one seasonal color like all the time, or do you think there's certain colors that are meant like only like specifically meant for like one season?
I don't think that colors are for the most part restricted to one season. I think certain colors lend themselves better to certain seasons, like your pastels, your teals, pinks, very bright colors, lend themselves better to spring and summer. But they can be worn very well in the winter. One of my favorite winter suits has a teal window pane in it. It's like a tan with a teal window pane in it, but it's made of like very heavy tweed. So it's a really great winter suit, but it's got kind of spring, summery kind of colors. So I think it's more material. I think it's more weight. I definitely think darker, more earthy colors definitely tend to lend themselves better to the fall. And like I said, colors lend themselves better to certain seasons, but for the most part, I think if it's got a summery vibe, it's for the summer, and if it's got a wintry vibe, it's for the winter. And just wearing and trying new things, that's what's really going to give you that instinct. Why?
Yeah.
What colors on your mind right now that prompted it?
Like maybe like a cocaine white
Like a
or like gray,
cocaine white,
cocaine gray probably.
like a cocaine gray.
Yeah. I,
And like a shirt or like a
maybe I've been watching
suit
too much
or
Circa.
in a shirt or a
Like
suit.
like a suit.
Like a
the
suit.
whole
That'd be
suit.
bad. That's
Yeah.
perfect for Florida, man. You're talking South Florida. Cocaine is like the theme of South Florida. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's totally a vibe. You know, I'm in the next big drop for Tierra Sartora. I have this white silk. It's 100% silk white summer jacket, and it's like iconic, like Miami cocaine vibe to it. It's good. It's dropping with a bunch
I
of
feel
other
like
stuff,
Circa would
but it's
be real happy with that one.
dude, I would love to make a suit for Zerka because I see Zerka's fits and I want to upgrade him. I want to improve him because I love Zerka. I like his energy. I like what he does, and he needs like a good suit. He really does, and I could totally put it in his style and his vibe, and I could give him the ultimate like Coke Boss, Scarface 2 kind of suit.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly
Oh,
just like
man.
something straight out of Scarface would suit him.
Yeah, some big
He's
obnoxious lapels
he's got
like
a
this with
structure
like
for it.
yeah, no, 'cause he's got those big, he's a big guy. He's got the big shoulders. He's very muscular. I wouldn't even have Zerka wear a tie. I think Zerka would work better with like an open collar, big like wide collars, kind of drooping over the jacket a little bit. Like I said, very like 70s,
Kind of like the
70s crime
like
cocaine
the
boss
Goodfella
kind of
collars.
thing. Yeah, exactly, but with no tie, just open.
Yeah, just like super pointed, like downward, like almost like reaching his pecs. Yeah.
Yeah,
I get
yeah,
what you're
like
saying.
kind of a little embracing kind of the Guido kind of thing. Like just like really bold, really aggressive style. I think that would be his fit every time. Maybe one of my fits for the fittest will be Zerka. Maybe one of the ones coming up will be Zerka.
I'll slide him your websites. Link. I
Yeah,
go, like,
yeah. Tell
if
him,
I see him
tell
down
him,
there.
tell him I want to do a fit for him. Yeah, somebody hit up
Yeah, I'll
Zerka
do
and
that,
tell
and,
him I'm trying to do
I
a
actu-
fit for him because I would kill the game. It'd be incredible.
I expect him to like just like half jokingly like offer lines to people while he's there.
It's always half jokingly because it
I don't
really
know.
just depends on how they respond.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Apparently, he doesn't do coke anymore. He just does crushed up Adderall, which I don't know is much better. But
I'm not a drugs guy.
yeah, I guess
listen,
it's like
listen.
moving forward.
I'm completely anti-vice, You know, at the end of the day, you don't need stimulants to be happy. You know, stimulants don't make you more productive. But some of them have been aged for a long time in Scotland, and they're very, very delicious. So,
Yeah,
you know,
I was about to say yes.
it's not,
It's okay if it's a depressant
you
and
know
it
what,
comes in the form of liquid.
when
Yeah.
I first started drinking, you know, my dad, like, he's like, listen, son, you don't need running shoes to run a race. You can run an Olympic race barefoot. Legally, you can. But those running shoes sure help. You don't see anyone out there not running in running
And
shoes.
yeah,
And that's
and
kind
that was
of,
the analogy that you use for alcohol.
kind of, yeah, because it is, you know, it isn't something you should abuse. You know, I think alcohol abuse is a thing, but I don't think all alcohol consumption is abusive. You know, I think it's an art form. You know, it's a way of, it's like cooking. You know, you have all these different taste profiles and flavors, and you can make interesting things, and there's histories behind these different things. You know, it's a whole complicated world, kind of like suiting. Um, you know, it's interesting, and but if that's not your thing, if you consider it just not something you need or not something you're interested in, you know, I'm not going to force it on anybody. You know, um, but I love making like a
Yeah, I'm
really
like the
good
same way with
cocktail for
tobacco.
someone. Tobacco's great. I just bought this little okay, it's called the Zaw wheel. It's clearly made for rolling blunts.
Bizarre.
It's this little brass
Yeah.
set of cogs and gears that you lay a bunch of tobacco in it for me because I don't smoke weed. I hate weed. It's degenerate. It turns you into a woman. Don't smoke weed.
Yeah, it makes you
But
gay.
but it
Yeah,
works
more.
really well for tobacco. So I have so much pipe tobacco, and I like to smoke a pipe every now and again. But I get so distracted that smoking a cigarette or cigar is just better for me. But the system works. It works with tobacco as well as it does marijuana. At least in the ads, they use broccoli to simulate it. But it works with tobacco, and it makes for a very, very great hand rolled cigarette because smoking doesn't cause cancer. The filters are what cause cancer. That's where all the poisons are, is in those filters. If you get unfiltered, you're just smoking tobacco, which is fine for the most part.
Yeah, I try to stay clear. I usually just end up ripping off the filters.
There you go. But
People look at me like I'm insane or like I'm an addict, but I don't know, just you get better draw.
well, you do, you do. It's kind of like why I prefer cold brew coffee. Is yeah, hot coffee's fine, especially in like the really cold months of the winter. It's nice, but like cold brew is great because you can drink it in the hot times of the year. It's the caffeine is more concentrated. You don't have to drink as much of it to get caffeinated and get productive at before 10 in the morning. You know, it's just better. But the big issue is the cigarette companies now know that there's like a trend for unfiltered, like they're kind of a novelty. So like Lucky Strikes unfiltered are just obscenely expensive. That's one of the reasons I got into the hand rolling and getting this little roller is because like to get an unfiltered cigarette is ridiculously expensive. It's obscene.
Yeah, it seems like the only affordable ones are anymore like who even knows like menthols like meant for blacks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
So
I want to go to the places in the ghetto that are selling menthols. Be like, hey, I'd like something, roll up in my suit into the ghetto. That's another thing, though. Oddly enough, if you're in the ghetto, either wear a suit or dress like a black guy, or avoid the ghetto completely, like a smart person. But if you are in the ghetto, wear a full blown ass bold suit because all the black guys, even the most like criminal black guys, will just like admire your drip. It'll stun the. Let's just say this has worked for me. This worked for me in New Orleans. And I didn't realize it did until I was thinking about it a few days later when I was walking through New Orleans, pretty buzzed, at age 21 at like 2 in the morning. I should have been murdered. I should have been shot dead. I should have had a high point laying next to my corpse. But I had this 3-piece green suit on and a hat. Like a straw hat, and all the black guys were like, yeah, man, you look good. Shit, man, that look good. That's some good shit right there. Where you going, man? You looking for a hotel? And I was like, yeah, I'm looking for the Intercontinental near Myers Hatters. And like, oh shit, man, I'll walk you out there. Come here. And I thought I was gonna get killed and die. But he like walked me to like this nice hotel that I was staying at. He's like, yeah, man, you keep looking good, man. That shit look good. and he went back to the ghetto. It was like, it really is like, I'm not encouraging anyone to actually try this. But this is a true story. That's 100% a true story.
You were they either thought you were an undercover cop or like you reminded them like
they might have
DNA,
they might have thought I was like a
them.
mark. They might have thought I was like an obvious bust mark or something like that. Or they thought it was like a pimp or something like that, and they're like, "Shit, man, this guy run the whole fucking block." Yeah. You know, ain't no way no white motherfucker gonna roll up into my town in a green ass suit.
Like activated.
Yeah, I've expressed that theory before. Is that, you know, because old black dudes love classic style, and if you're like dressed really well, you know you're dressed well, and old black dudes start complimenting you. They'll be like, I see you, that look good, It's like I wonder if it's like a primordial instinct, like.
Yeah,
like, yeah, this man the boss.
The old black dudes,
yes,
about
boss.
them, they really like the bold colors. Like they like the burgundy suits, they like the dark greens.
They do.
Like
they love the bold
purples.
stuff. And I'll tell you this too. This is when I first started doing the boutonnieres, which I just released a whole new line of them on TR Sartorial. These lapel flowers. One I did because I was Southern and I had a lot of excess of these. You know, it's like a cotton plant, like where the cotton grows, like the little brown like leaves around it. It's like a little bulb shape, and I did those on pins as boutonnieres, and a lot of people loved them. You know who bought the most of them? Old black dudes.
Black people.
Old black dudes picked the most cotton I'd ever seen in my entire life. I don't know why. And the thing is, and as they're buying them, I'm like, this is all in-person sales. I'm thinking like, man, if I say one fucking word, I'm done. I'm dead.
It's like that.
I'm also watching buying a bunch of
factory. Man, you ain't live
until you pick cotton.
Yeah.
But like,
That's
if I
hilarious.
say one word right now, I'm watching like 4 old black dudes, like buy like a dozen each cotton boutonnieres for their suits to wear at black church. Bruh.
Dude, I swear, like,
if I say one word,
you got it. No, you gotta give them the one-liner when they check it out, man. That's a lot of
if I
time.
make one comment, there's no good comment I can make in that moment.
No, come on, you just gotta hit them with a funny one-liner, and they'll laugh it off. Like, you're like, hey, man, you sure picked a lot of cotton in my store. Like, come on, they'll get a kick out of it. Just be charismatic; they'll like it.
Yeah, adopt a little bit of a Calvin Candy accent. Come on now, you want to get 3. Come on, you want pick this one. This one's the one you want to pick. Yeah. Of all of the ones out here, this is the one you want to pick. This cotton one. No, it's actually a good look. It's kind of a bold. It actually looks really good with the seersucker suit, but I'll never get over it watching a bunch of old black dudes pick my cotton. The funniest thing is I was doing it in the parking lot of the men's warehouse I worked in at the time too. They could have totally fired me for violating non-compete at the time, and I was a glistening entrepreneur.
Well, I mean, if you were cool with your manager,
my manager was the coolest dude ever.
If you're cool with your manager, yeah.
That was one of the coolest things about working for the men's warehouse.
Yeah,
everybody who works for the men's warehouse is cool. Like the district managers would come around and they'd ask where the liquor is, because every men's warehouse kept, it wasn't company standard, but it was kind of understood practice to keep liquor in the company fridge. And the managers would be like, yeah, let's go get some shots afterwards. You know, as long as the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed, men's warehouse was the coolest place ever to work for. And then they got all corporate and gay, and they started cutting all the employee benefits, and it was terrible.
That sucks to hear. Would they let you drink on the hour?
Not officially.
Or was it strictly after? Not officially.
Not officially.
But it was like, you know,
but if your manager was like, hey, I can. Almost. But if your manager was like, hey, I can smell your breath a little bit. Here's some mouthwash. You're like, oh, okay, I'll dial it back till after lunch.
Okay, gotcha. No, that's so cool.
It was a cool place to work for. You know, It was really cool for a long time. I'm here. It's kind of gay and retarded now, but it was once very cool.
Yeah, I went to one recently just to get fitted, and I wasn't really happy with the suit itself, but all the button downs were nice, so I ended up keeping those. I went somewhere else to get something measured.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, no, there's some fun stuff. There's Men's Warehouse has its place. I think it could be better, but you know, it's got its place.
Yeah, I remember taking one of my high school buddies to a men's warehouse. Like he was the same year as me, but I almost treated him like a lower classman. Just like in the sense that like I don't know, I felt like his stepfather or something taking him suit shopping. And he dropped by before going to prom at my house. He's like, hey man, thanks for for putting me together with this suit. I'm like kind of taken aback. I was like, yeah, I feel like I'm your father or something now.
Well, that's what I don't have a lot of kids yet. I'm probably gonna get married within the next year or so. But might start having kids as soon as possible. But until then, getting to offer this stuff to people, I love doing call-ins for this exact reason, because I feel like I'm kind of helping, people out in a sort of fatherly way. I offer the advice that I can. I try to help out where I can. I offer my services. That's what I talked about with Austin Robertson tonight. Was at the end of the day, we're all we are is servants for others, and if you can take pride and joy in being a servant for other people, that's really the nature of being a Christian. You're fighting evil and you're serving your fellow man, and I don't think you can truly say you're a Christian with a skill unless you think about that skill in the parameter of how could I use this to serve my fellow man, and not just in the if I get rich I'll donate to my church eventually, but like how can you in your everyday become skilled in a way that you can offer your services to your fellow man and improve their lives in some way or another. Because I think a lot of guys, they think, I'm just going to get on my grind set for a long time, and then I'm going to get rich, and once I donate enough money to my church, that'll balance out the sheet. And that's not how it works. Look at St. Joseph. St. Joseph didn't, he wasn't an aspiring rich man. He was a carpenter. He was a servant of his community. He was a servant to others. He lived to serve for others, and he taught Christ to be a carpenter. He literally got to teach God how to be a servant to his community, how to be a servant to the world around him. That's
amazing. Very beautifully put.
That's very much something to meditate on. As a lot of young guys try to find a skill or a craft. Maybe it is menswear, maybe it is carpentry, maybe it's construction, maybe it's working on cars. There's a million things it could be. But you have to look at that thing and think about taking pride in your skill as a servant to your community. And with that, success will come. The success that God wants you to have will come through that, as long as you maintain yourself and keep in your head that you are a servant to those around you, and that this skill is not for your personal vanity. It's for your ability to serve and improve the lives of others.
That's an awesome way to think about it, man. There's so many people that just, especially nowadays, like ways of getting rich or making money nowadays is just like showing other people how to make money, like doing their like gay little YouTube shorts or TikToks where like here's how you drop ship and make $50,
Yeah, and this is why
10 minutes or something, gay like.
Exactly. This is why I've been so critical. I was critical of the Tates for a long time. For this exact reason, is I don't like a lot of this like modern red-pilled bro stuff. I don't like this Tate style content because it's douchey, because it's hyper consumerist, because it's basically Alpha M, but slightly less feminist. Only slightly. Literally, Andrew Tate, Franson is vindicated on this. Andrew Tate literally called himself a feminist in the Tucker interview.
Well, you can't say Franson and Vindicator right next to each other right now. That's a hot topic right now.
It is. Listen. I love Steve. I love Franson, man. I can't give the guy a hard time. He's right. He's right about protecting the children. He really is though. He's right about protecting the children. he's got his way of saying things, and I think a lot of people kind of just take it at a surface level and get stung. And listen, Steve has said things to me that have kind of
Yeah, no,
stung me
I was just
initially.
running shade to Francis. I was just saying that, comedic.
Yeah. Steve's a controversial topic, but I stand by my brother, man. I got to stand by my brother Steve. But really, it's he's gonna listen. Steve Francis is gonna say something that stings everyone, but you can't let that sting define your relationship with the guy or how you see the guy. You got to think, the guy's been talking about self-knowledge since the guy was talking. You got to take that sting and ask, why does this sting me, But that's a different. I'm gonna get.
A lot of friendships start that way, though, with
It's true.
initial animosity.
It's true, but back to the red pill bro stuff. I do not like most of the modern red pill bro content. I wasn't a fan of the Fresh and Fit stuff until Nick went on it, and I really am impressed with how Fresh and Fit really let him cook and really let him say some impressive stuff. And now he's like one of the biggest streams they've ever had. Like he's shockingly just Nick historic W's back to back, but. For the most part, I'm not a big fan of this red pill bro stuff. Maybe because it's not very dapper. Maybe there's a little visual element to that, but that visual element is represented in the content, in that it's very flashy, it's very aggressive, and a lot of it is about getting pussy. And listen, there's a reason I say drip sell, and that you should be you can appreciate beauty, you can appreciate success, you can appreciate the greatness of civilization and contributing to civilization completely free of impressing women. And it's a very tough thing to learn, and it takes a long time of separation from broads to really understand this. But you have to understand it if you're really going to meaningfully change the culture. Because if you're thinking how this is going to impress a broad, which a lot of people do, and a lot of people consciously and subconsciously are obsessed with impressing broads, and there's so much content out there about how to be a successful guy leading a meaningful life, leading a based life, while also getting pussy. You have to drop you have to be a drip cell. You have to be a drip cell. You cannot be influenced by broads. None of the stuff I've done, none of the stuff I believe was built when I was in a relationship or when I was chasing girls. It was all built when I had given up on chasing girls. Like midway through college, I just gave up. I had a bad relationship, and I was like, you know what? And then I got really red-pilled on the women's situation, became a total incel, and then I became a drip cell. Because I was like, why am I wasting all this time on bitches when I could be upgrading my drip, when I could be like mastering the art of making a waistcoat, when I could be perfecting, drape, when I could be like spreading this information to people who need it. And then I didn't date for years, and that's how you truly become a meaningful, thoughtful person, is when you can completely separate yourself from snatch. Because unfortunately a lot of guys that are in this red-pilled world and that are making content, they're still like, listen, here's all the base stuff you need to know, and it's also going to get you laid. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of watching podcasts with a bunch of big boobied women, like either repeating the takes of the men at the table or just going, well, I don't understand that. That hurts for me to watch. I'd rather watch beheading videos back to back than listen to a woman try to like absorb and explain a political philosophy she just heard on a dating podcast. You know what I mean? It hurts. It hurts me. Luckily, I have a healthy supply of painkillers, but my ears will never fully recover from listening to a woman slowly pronounce words she's never heard before.
No way.
I mean, just thinking about it's giving me headaches. Luckily, I have enough. I have enough medicine to get me through this trauma.
Yeah, eventually you just need to get yourself into like a drunken slur so that it becomes manageable. I feel like that's why so many households have like alcoholic fathers. It's just a nagging wife.
Really, and a bit, and I think that whole stereotype really is over exaggerated. I think that happens in lower end white areas, mostly after the industrial like collapse. Because if you're a guy who worked at a factory who your dad worked at and your granddad worked at, and you saw real progress and opportunity to go from working on the floor to managing the floor to, being a corporate member, all this stuff. And then one day you go to work and you get told by some dickhead, some foreign dickhead, some Asian with a clipboard saying, oh, by the way, this whole factory is being shut down because we're getting outsourced to Beijing or to India, Well, what about our pensions? What about our retirement? What about all these competitive employee benefits? Oh, yeah, those all got wiped out. No, you're getting, you literally raped, a whole generation of hard-working men. So it is unfortunate that a lot of them turn to drink and a lot of them turn to drugs. But I have a lot of sympathy for them. I have more sympathy for them than most. Especially now that I live in an area that was very, very harshly affected by the hollowing out of our steel industry. When you see the ghost of a Rust Belt town that was clearly a happy, lively, homogenous place. I went off on this on Telegram yesterday or the day before. Essentially the Rust Belt was punished because it was like the last white homogenous area in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. It wasn't one of these, the Rust Belt was, this white homogenous area that wasn't coastal cities. It was these landlocked, areas that people established by traveling by land a long time ago. So they were very ethnically homogenous and they were very religious. A lot of them were majority Catholic. And, they're, the Jews, they love, they really just hate, they see a society of white Christians and they're like, oh, we can't have that. It's like a beaver seeing running water. A Jewish guy seeing a white, homogenous, happy, peaceful civilization is like a beaver seeing a stream of running water. He's like, I gotta put a stop to that. We can't have that now. So, they appeal to this boomer greed of, much higher profit margins. If we outsource this to Asia, we'll essentially sell you slaves. Because that's the only reason Asia has a global competition in the market is they sell slavery. They sell the slavery of their own people because they're not Christians, because they don't assign any value to human life because they're not Christians. And any Christian sects in Asia are persecuted and killed. But, and after that, even after they got rid of these factories and they hollowed it out, they tried to eke it out. They tried to eke it out and make the best of it and work through what few resources were left. And then the Sackler family, there's a really great series on Hulu called Dope Sick. It's a mini-series, stars Michael Keaton, and it does an incredible job of explaining how the Jewish Sackler family, it's a drama, it's not like a documentary, it's a drama, it's all acted and portrayed, about how the Jewish Sackler family created OxyContin in the 1970s or 80s. I can't remember. But they created that, and they explicitly encouraged reps to go to local small town hospitals, like local small town doctors and hospitals, and market it to coal towns, to steel towns, to these blue collar towns as a part of the war on chronic pain. The whole reason the concept of chronic pain and the pain scale exists is because of the Sackler family when they started marketing OxyContin. You can look at this, is all true. And this is a very important thing for people to understand when it comes to, people are like, oh, big pharma, my vaccines. It's so much deeper than vaccines. The whole opioid epidemic was created by Jews to punish white homogenous areas that weren't big enough and industrial enough to be taken over like cities were. To punish any small remaining sects of a white Christian homogenous society in the rural world where they didn't want to get their hands dirty or go out into the rural world. They just had their reps go out with OxyContin and absolutely eviscerate it. Because the one thing these people fear is a closely knit, homogenous, high social trust Christian society. They see it and it's like beavers to running water. They see high social trust and they gotta wreck it. And with the big cities, they were able to introduce immigrants through industry, and they were able to introduce immigrants through this kind of like luxurious diversity of exotic foods and all this other crap. But the more, landlocked, homogenous, isolated areas that they didn't want to get their feet dirty in, They just plug drugs into, and you hate to see it because the effects are still alive and well today, and it's not going anywhere until things meaningfully change. You hate to see it, you really do.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to totally go off. I know it's the call-in. I'm supposed to let my callers talk, but
No, that's a good.
But man,
that was a good
it's
go off
something
moment.
that a lot of people aren't talking about, and it's. I think it needs to be. We talk about the Jews a lot, and it's important to talk about these things, but it's much more nefarious than just Al Goldstein invented porn, which is also true. It's literally most of the social ills.
Yeah, it's literally they have like any sort of like corrosive thing that that denigrates society. Um, they have their toes dipped into.
It's like I said, it's a mindset derived from hate. And an over obsession with the material, and that's very funny coming from me who loves collecting antiques and loves these material things, but it is a and that's the thing. Even in the series, it's played as corporate greed. It's just played as evil corporate greed, but it's so much more than corporate greed. There has to be, to do something so evil, there has to be an element of hate behind it. There has to be an element of true visceral hate behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thanks for letting me call in, TR, but I got a flight in about another 5 hours, and I want to catch some Z's before gotta take off, you know?
Okay, awesome. Hey, if you meet a tall, skinny guy, I'm sure you will at the Fuentes rally. Tall, skinny guy, probably has a cool looking suit on. His name starts with an L. He's like Brazilian and white. He's white passing, but he's partially Brazilian. He'll just tell him I said hi. He's a friend of mine, and I want to just
Okay.
I want people to bug out on my friends that actually went.
Okay, gotcha. I'll keep an eye out. Is there a certain color of suit I should be looking for?
Probably blue. I don't know if the gray one got to him yet. You'll know people that are TR starter fans because they'll be dripped to the nines. I mean, I'm sure there'll be people that aren't like big TR starter heads, but you'll know, and that's what I love. That's what I love about what I do. That's a little reward for me, is that a TR starter head when they're dripped out to the nines at every event.
Gotcha, gotcha. I'll keep my eyes peeled. I'll try to bug him if I can. But you take care, man. Thanks for letting me call in.
Hey, you take it easy, buddy. God bless.
God bless.
Yeah, what a king. What a king. Like I said, if you want to call in, if you want to chit chat, all you got to do is raise your hand. I'm not keen on putting anybody on the spot accidentally, but if you want to raise your hand, raise your hand. We'll have us a little blast here. How is Lulz killing me right now? How's Lulz killing me? Like with views, man. Come on, let's get some content. Somebody call in. Someone impress me. Impress TR Sarter. All right, Great Sex is on here. Oh man, we're gonna have some great sex right now. What's up, Great Sex? You're on the call-ins, buddy. You're live. Just unmute and give us the content. Gotta unmute first, buddy. Or maybe he's like scrambling to go find a quiet break room or something. Apparently, there's a lot of wages working right now. Like it's almost 11 o'clock at night. I figured everyone would be snoozing and cruising while I'm doing my boozing. Iceman wants to speak. If Great Sex does it, I'm gonna give it to the count of 5. I'm a good guy. I'm a generous guy.
Hello?
Oh. Yo, he's live. What's up? What's up, Great Sex? Are you having some great sex?
No, not really. No, I'm alone on a Friday night watching you.
True drip cell. We love to hear it. Even better.
No
Even
offense.
better than great sex. Being a drip cell is much more rewarding.
This is going to be real quick. I just want to get your opinion on... I've been seeing a lot on Instagram and all these normie fashion inspo type places, a lot of celebrities, blah, blah, blah. But What do you think about the wife beater under a suit? No shirt, just a wife beater suit, and that's it. Kind of sleazecore-esque
Very,
deal. I
very,
just want to know what you think about
very,
that.
Sopranos wise guy coming out of his house, dealing with an unplanned situation kind of vibe. Sleazecore, I do appreciate because it has a very Sopranos feel to it. I'm not a big fan of it though. As an Anglo, I like my rule. I like feeling very ordered and organized. And the wife beater under the suit feels very disorganized. I will say a wife beater with just like suit pants on though and suspenders is with like, especially if you have a cigarette.
Yeah.
Like if you have a wife beater and a cigarette, you can get away with pretty much any drip. And it looks like you just walked out of your house to like deal with some domestic shit. You know what I mean? There's, like I said, that's really sleazecore right there, looking like you walked out of your house to deal with some domestic shit. So if you got a wife beater, you better have a cigarette. You know, that's what someone should make, wife beaters with like single cigarette pockets on the straps on the chest, like on the straps on the shoulders, like a single little pocket for a single cigarette. So no matter what, and you don't even have to smoke it, you just have to have it in your hand. And use it to point at things if you're in a situation.
Like, so that's so true. Like you would have to have like a little cigarette box too, like a Spy in TF2.
Yeah.
You know, just have a little, like, flip it open, pop one out, you know, real quick.
Like the vibe is that you just
maybe
like
don't
sitting on the porch.
Maybe don't go too hard.
You know, enjoy
like,
the
don't
nice
go too
drag.
hard and get a Zippo. Yeah, don't go too hard with like a Zippo lighter. You have to have matches, like wooden matches, regular fucking old
like
school.
a little matchbox.
Strike
They can't be big cigar match. They have to be like a little like paper fold matchbox.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. That's the sleazecore right there. You know, it's like you just got back from like a 12-hour shift and these fucking broads, your fucking boss riding your fucking ass. Just, you know, taking a drag on the back porch.
Fucking broads, man.
These fucking broads, man. Like,
yeah, I was just
you had
curious.
this mediocre dinner and you just fucking tired, man. You just, you're between the ages of like 29 and 55.
Don't want to deal with this shit.
You just like these fucking, and you hear some like commotion coming out on your front lawn. So you walk out, you throw your suspenders back on over your wife beater. You already took your shirt off for the day, and you're walking out in your slacks, with your loafers on, a cigarette and wife beater. You walk outside and you start pointing the cigarette at someone who's like causing commotion in front of your townhouse. Very sleazecore imagery, Hey, what the fuck is going on here? Keep it the fuck down. Shut the fuck up. Very, like I said, very,
It's so crazy though.
It's a vibe.
I was gonna say it's so crazy. Yeah, it's so crazy how like the high rise, like kind of suit pant look has come into fashion nowadays.
Best.
I don't know if you've seen. Yeah.
Listen, I got into that back when I was like 16 because it was so much more comfortable to wear suit pants all day when they're not sitting right on the axles that are your hips. Because if you think about it, not only are you doing more wear and tear to your pants, but you're also like, it's uncomfortable because you're constantly having to adjust it to get over like your ass when you sit down and stand up all the time. But if they're sitting up on your waist, they don't really move. Especially if they have braces, if they have suspenders.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
and they hang from your shoulders, they're a little loose fitting. Your waist should not be tight. Your waist should actually be a little on the loose side. And then you get suspenders, and your pants just kind of hang there. And you never have to worry about your pants fitting ever again. You never have to worry about
especially with dress
pants.
Again. Oh yeah. I'm just mad that the normie stole the Wrangler Ranchers from us because that was like the perfect like casual / dress pant that you can wear to like kind of dress you up like a casual outfit, and they fucking stole it from us. In the last, like, maybe 3 years, they fucking stole the Wrangler Ranchers from us, man.
Listen, steal it back.
That was my thing.
Listen, lesbians will take nothing from us. Okay? Lesbians will take nothing from drip supremacists. Drip supremacists don't take shit from bitches with their hair shaved on the side of their heads. Okay? If I can make any message clear, it is that I don't take shit from lesbians.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. Fucking bitches, man. They take all of our shit. They take the
They
fucking
do.
Dickies. They take the Carhartt. They don't stop. They don't
Doc
stop.
Martens used to be working man's factory footwear.
Yeah, and then everybody kind of figured out about Solovair, and Solovair kind of became like the new Doc Martin, or not the new because they are the original, but you know what I mean. Like everybody was like, "Whoa, there's this new Doc Martin, but it's like the original Doc Martin. We're all gonna wear that. We're gonna wear Solovairs, and we're gonna be like, the hipsters of the hipster." So fucking obnoxious, dude.
Real and true. But hey, thanks for calling him. I know Iceman had his hand raised a minute ago. I know he's trying to come. He doesn't have his
I'm
hand
gonna get
raised
out of here,
again
man.
yet, but I imagine he wants to come in here and say something in a minute.
Good talking to you, bro.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, man. Good talking to you, brother. And well, one more thing. Were you at the Harrisburg rally in during Stop the Steal?
No, I was only at one of the Stop.
I don't know if you want to talk about it, but
I was only at one of the Stop the Steals,
shit.
and it wasn't that one.
I drove all the way out to that one, man. That was a good time. But anyway, all right, man. Good talking to you. Good to see you.
Yeah, you take it easy, buddy.
And God bless.
Hey, God bless you too, friend. Like I said, Iceman, if you want to call in, it's all yours, buddy. Got a little, listen. Everyone triggers me to monologue. This is what happens when I start drinking scotch, I want to talk, I got a lot of things on my mind. I'm a thoughtful guy, childlike creativity, purity, and honesty is honestly, I was actually not getting crowded by these grown thoughts, getting crowded by this grown taxidermy. This is the only other semi-living things in my home are not broads, it's taxidermy. I did just recently lose a piece of taxidermy to a nasty windstorm. Very, very heartbroken. Honestly, ruined my whole weekend. Very, very heartbreaking. So if you want to support the replacement of this beautiful piece of it was a record breaking. It was a massive sable antelope, which is also the national animal of Rhodesia. That's why I got it. But unfortunately, it was destroyed in a windstorm. Very, very heartbroken. If you want to support the replacement of this beautiful piece, I'll even add him into the studio. Whatever, if we hit the goal, whatever we hit the goal for, I will use to buy and add a new piece of taxidermy to the wall behind me here, because there's this blank space between Dalton Hogfelter and Mr. Impala over here that could really use a massive African beast. And George Floyd's a rug. There's a George Floyd rug out there, and I cannot afford it. So we're just gonna have to stick with a sable antelope or an oryx or something like that. But that's what the super chat. That's what the super chat goal this evening is going to go towards, the next big great piece of taxidermy for the background here. And if you don't donate, I assume that you either despise me, hate me, or A-logging me, or you just really love vintage wallpaper and want to look at it more. Either way I win. So that's what the super chat's going to go towards tonight. Oh, Iceman wants to speak again. Let's go. I'm excited. Iceman is back on the cocktail hour. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, good evening, brother. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. The scotch is flowing and the scotch is tasty.
Yeah, dude. I was just checking in. Hopefully you're doing well. I just got back from the amusement park. I went with my nieces and my dad, and it was a nice way to spend the evening with family.
Very nice, very nice. What amusement park?
Kings Island.
Oh, Kings Island. I'm familiar. They have the white racer roller coasters.
Right. Yeah, they have a pretty good selection. Yeah.
Yeah. Do they still have the Oh, it's probably a traveling thing. It was many, many years ago that we did. They used to have like a dinosaur park attached to it. It was a long time ago since I went there, but it's like one of those classic like northern amusement park kind of vibes. I remember going there. It's a lot of fun.
Dude.
The Beast is there. That's what their iconic ride is. The Beast, the
first...
big wooden roller coaster.
Yeah, that was. Yeah. It's probably been like 10 years. I mean, 10 years. This was the first time I've been in a while. And yeah, we were mostly. I mean, my nieces are under 6. So. But yeah, no, they have a very good selection. But yeah, dude, I was just checking in. Are you going to the rally tomorrow?
I'm not able to. It's just too many
Or
things were
Sunday?
conflicting.
Oh, okay.
I wish I could go. I really wanted to go too, but unfortunately, just too many things with other stuff kind of locked me in already over here. And I wish I could go, dude. I'm getting so much
Oh,
fun
yeah.
because like all my friends are going, and I just wasn't able to swing it. But it was kind of either this or AFPAC,
No, yeah, dude.
and I wouldn't miss AFPAC for the world. So. But
Yeah,
I'll definitely be at
understand.
AFPAC. I hear
Did
it's
you
going to be
really-
out west.
Did have you taught? I don't know how long you had been streaming before called in, but did you release your take on just like the fresh and fit, or what did you think about all that? Did you have a favorite moment, or what did you enjoy the most about it?
I mean, I didn't realize Rumble allowed like rape videos to be posted, but I mean, Destiny just got like gang raped repeatedly, and the guy just kept coming back for more. I didn't realize Rumble allowed that in their terms of service. It's good to know for the future. That's a joke, but
yeah, it was
But no, really, like it's but no, that was great. I mean, Jerry, I love it when people just let Nick cook. I'm very skeptical with a lot of these hosts that bring Nick on because I worry they do it for publicity and then they use the attention to then walk back whatever gets said because that's happened before. So I'm always a little skeptical. But, I just really, and I've always been skeptical of these like Red Pill Bro, like post Kevin Samuels style, Red Pill podcasts. But I will say, Fresh and Fit, they let Nick cook, they let him talk, and they genuinely reacted to him with curiosity. And they let him cook, they let him talk, and they just asked him questions. They didn't try to like direct his answers or cut him off or anything like that. They just let him go, and that was great. I was very impressed. I really was. I was very happy with the shows he's been doing. I'm here for the content. It's good stuff. They're letting him talk, and they've let him on multiple times now, and they haven't like tried to rein him in. You know what I mean? And that's really nice to see. It gives me a lot of faith in these guys, and it gives me a lot more positive view of these guys than I had before.
Yeah, no, dude. Yeah, I strongly agree. There were some streams that Myron, I think he's fit, did with Sneeko a while back on Rumble, and he got very wild, and I mean, him and Nick they had conversations in the past. I think on Sneeko's stream, and seems like I mean, no one agrees with everyone 100%, and just for these people to act like you can't talk to this guy, it's crazy. But it's awesome. Especially like the female content. I thought that was pretty fascinating. Just to see Nick and just a completely like outside of his element. I mean, that's not something we ever really see. I mean, you'll see him on panels with other women or whatever, but in real life like that, I thought that and something that's kind of outside of his realm would be like the dating stuff or whatever. But I think he held his own for sure and just representing, doing his thing, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, when they let the man cook, and they brought him on with all these black girls for the after hours thing, which is hilarious. It was pretty funny. Although I will say it was like I was a little uncomfortable watching a black girl twerk next to Nick. I'm like, why do we got to put this man through this? Why do we got to like put this king through this right now? This is gross. This is but which is funny because what's really funny is I was watching Wurz's reaction to all this, like reacting to the reactions to all this, and that was really some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen because like all these like black dude like the black red pill like the black centric red pill commentators are all like these black women are simping for a white man. Like it just Wurzel talks about it better, but it's like they're reeking of jealousy, and these like black dudes are just like so jealous that this like white kid like just rolled up, said the N-word, and got like a bunch of pictures with a bunch of like black girls and these like black dudes that are like talking about the Afro revolution, the Afro futurism. Like, where's mine? Why don't black girls want to talk to me, but they want to talk to this white boy? This is the problem with black women in America. And I'm like, listen, kid, that's your problem, man. I'm not about to like wage a culture war on behalf of correcting black women. I'm not even. Listen, I don't even have the energy to go after white women. That's why I'm a drip cell. You know, listen.
Right. Oh yeah.
But the seething out of all of this from every direction, especially from the old A-logs, like the old head A-logs, you know, the PPPs, the Warskis, the Jadens, is so good because these guys, every time they rear their ugly, malformed, you know, chemically deprived heads, they always think America First is over now. They always say this. I don't even know if they believe it, but they say it. They say it to everyone. They say America First is over now. Nick doesn't have anything going on. Nick's a this, Nick's a that. He doesn't have anything going on, actually. Oh, he just got 100 million views on Fresh and Fit while saying the N-word, while also naming them, while also clearly laying out to an Arab guy and a black guy the racial animus issues in America, clearly, coherently, and thoroughly to the point where they were agreeing with him, naming them and then going back to the racial animus issues and then naming them again and then saying the N-word around a bunch of black prostitute girls, and they just took it as Riz.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Nick is a Riz lord. He just is. He walks into a room. He's just got this thing about him. That he can walk into any room with any haters, and this is why so many people are afraid to debate him, why so many people are afraid to talk to him. And this is why, and watching this really does, for anyone who's kind of a new fag, really explains why the whole conservative world waged nuclear war on this guy at every opportunity they could. Because this guy could walk into any room and just lay it out. He can speak the truth. He can say it in a coherent... And he can speak the truth. He can speak these hard truths in a funny, coherent, meaningful way that people want to hear him speak about it more. And that's why the whole conservative establishment waged nuclear war on this guy from the time he was a teenager. A literal teenager, like 19 years old. They've been waging nuclear war on this guy, and he refuses to go away. You know, what else can you say? I mean, the guy's resume speaks for itself. You know, I'm not trying to kiss ass or anything here, but it really is impressive, you know. It's impressive in the same way you watch an elephant, like, lean on a tree and just bulldoze it over. Like, this is an act of nature, man. It's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, dude, they say, I mean, the greatest form of, not impersonation, but just like flattery is, you know, when you're impersonating someone. And like, I mean, you see all these people, they're all taking his points. They're all watering it down. I mean, they know that what he has, you know, he's sitting on a pile of gold. And, you know, the fact that he's been able to withstand the storm and, you know, he's not, I mean, so many of these guys are degenerates, you know, a lot of these media people, commentators, I mean, they're all degenerates. None of them have the values or, you know, to really stand up for, you know, but he actually lives it. And, you know, he's not just up there a talking head. Like he actually, you know, believes in it. And yeah, it's just, it's fun to watch. And, you know, glad I found him, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, you know, I was very like, I was kind of just like watching Crowder absentmindedly when I found Nick. You know, I started watching him on my lunch breaks when I was still working like retail in the parking lot. And I was watching Three Spoons clips of Nick, and I was like, this guy is like the only interesting person I've seen in a long time. Because even I was like watching Crowder regularly, and I was bored. It's kind of absentmindedly watching it as white noise. And there just wasn't anything interesting being said. It wasn't exciting. It was easy white noise. But yeah. And the thing is, he stayed interesting. That's the cool thing about Nick, is he didn't just have like an interesting moment. He stays at the forefront of these issues.
Oh yeah, he's always on the forefront, and yeah, he keeps it fresh, and you know, he's able to say it 1,000 different ways, but it's, you know, it's funny and it's interesting. So have you looked at the clothing line that they dropped recently, America First? Have you seen the stuff that they're dropping for the rally?
I saw the merch stuff. That's pretty cool. I think that's awesome, and that's imagery. That's
What's your? I mean, did you have a favorite one? Was there one that, you know, you were most drawn to of the ones that have been released so far, or at least seen the visuals?
So what I see, I like the sweatshirts. I think the sweatshirts are pretty iconic for like kind of Zoomer centric America First. vibes. I love the classic America First, the blue America First hat. The fact that it's coming back is I'm gonna pull it up right now so I can take a good look at it. I think I reposted it. Let me see here.
Yeah, no, I thought it was sick. Yeah, what they're doing with the designs, it's fresh, it's new, it's energy, and yeah, I was drawn to I think the long sleeve white one. But yeah, dude, it was all just pretty fire for the most part.
Okay, here as I'm looking at it. Yeah, no, the white t-shirts are pretty cool. I think the one with the with like the skull and the skeleton on it's kind of hard to tell from the picture. That looks pretty cool. Got some Latin on there. I can't quite tell what it says, but very, very Catholic centric.
Right, yeah, I couldn't make it.
The Holy War poster is sick. I really like the Holy War poster. That's definitely something to frame. Actually, if somebody could, I will pay someone to buy me one of the Holy War posters at this thing so I can frame it in my art gallery because I've got an AF section of the gallery hall, and it'd be cool to add this poster to that.
Oh,
maybe
nice.
it's a little cheating because I wasn't there, but I will pay somebody to get me one of those to add to my gallery hall because I've got the White Boy Summer movie poster, and I've got an AF hat, and I've got a Trump hat, and I've got my 2 AFPAC lanyards, all in the AF section of the gallery hall. The Save the World shirts are okay. I definitely like the sweatshirts with the skulls on it better. And I think the hats are really the most iconic thing. Maybe because hats stand out so much, they're the most iconic. But the AF hat and the Black America First hat are both classic, and they're both good for the 2 different styles work for different things. You know what I mean? The very like trucker style cap is very good for like more public political events and rallies. And the Black America First cap more works for kind of like an everyday, a little more low profile kind of thing.
Yeah, then I guess just a final question in regards to, I mean, who do you think the VP ends up being? Or if you had to put like 2 or 3 people, who do you think it ends up being for Trump?
Trump VP? Oh, that's a good question. Because a lot of the people that I would have said like a few months ago are all out.
Carrie Lake and Kristi Noem are popular people.
I know he's probably going to want to put a broad in there, and we're all going to kind of have to wince through that one. It's like pulling a nasty splinter. We're just going to have to wince through a broad being VP. But,
right. Byron Donalds had said he would obviously take the job. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there was anyone you know. Just who do you think?
Should name Roger Stone as VP. I know Roger's been hanging out with he should name Roger Stone VP. Let the man win the game. Let the man just roll up. And it's not because he's got a couple of my suits.
Dude,
that's partially because he's got a couple of my suits. But let the man be VP.
That was dude, it was pretty cool. I think it was like within the last week or so where he posted like he was hanging out with
Mel Gibson and Trump. Yeah, this is the Trump team that I want to see.
He was flying on Trump's plane.
Yeah, no, he was actually going to host. I talked about hosting the cocktail hour with me very soon. He said he couldn't because he was going on Trump's plane. I didn't know that's what that was for, but I guess it was. But hopefully he's going to be hosting the cocktail hour. He's going to show us how to make some Nixonian martinis. Hopefully soon here. But yeah, no, it's that's the Trump team I want to see. You know what I mean? It's so hard to see. Because Trump is around so many people. It's very, it's so hit or miss sometimes. But as far as VPs go...
Yeah, no.
I don't think Trump needs a VP. Yeah. I think he should just name himself emperor. Name himself emperor for life.
I second that, bro.
When people ask for the VP, he's like, what would I need a VP for? I have a son, and he has a son. And my son's son will have a son. What do I need a VP for? I can't be killed. That's what I would like to see.
So, all right,
but I don't know.
All right, man,
I have to take a look.
No, it was just and then I mean, do you think Biden ends up being, or do you think they swap him out? There's some speculation here late that they might swap him out. Do you think they end up swapping him out for?
I don't know.
Newsom potentially.
I doubt it. I really do. Just because they spent so many man hours and so much money and time making Biden this like weird artificial people's champion. Because I was rewatching the epic rap battles of history of Biden versus